a sudden death quarter-final in the Wizard Cup.
Yes, and I'm looking forward to it, Clinton. We know it's going to be humid conditions. The interchange bench will be used enormously. They'll play 8 off the interchange bench, or they can play 8. Both teams coming off taxing wins last week in their local derbies or derbies, depending where you come from. So I'm interested to see which team backs up better in these conditions.
A taxing one for the Eagles as well. Down perhaps 11 first-name players from this team that they could pick. How do you see their lineup?
Well, I guess the point of view is that it's a wonderful opportunity for some of the younger players to come through, and great to see we're going to see Phil Reid back in the side. I mean, it's been 2 years for Phil Reid with 2 knee reconstructions. He gets his first game. Some big names they're missing, Jakovic, Matera, they're out from the side that defeated the Dockers last week. So some young kids to keep an eye out for from the West Coast Eagles.
They don't have a great history in this competition. How do they fare going into tonight's game? Their coach is John Worsfold. He caught up with our own Tiffany Cherry a short time ago to talk about these conditions and more.
John, the conditions are fairly sapping. How have you guys, last week as well, you cramped up. How have you guys prepared and make sure that doesn't happen tonight?
Just a lot of work on how much fluid intake the players need, and the rotation off the bench. That's going to be fairly important for us tonight. We're, as part of our preparation for the season, we're really keen on making sure the players have a good hit out tonight without stressing them too much.
What do you think about the air-conditioned room? You're going to be making a lot of use of that?
We will, yeah. I mean, even just for short periods of time, I think the players will just feel that relief, so we'll certainly use it.
And just quickly, you've got a young side. You've left a couple of big names, or a couple of big names are out, and plus injuries as well.
Yeah, it is. It's a couple of our new recruits come in Selwood and Staker, which is a great opportunity for them, and they've been training really well. So it's a fairly young side, but they're well equipped to play well.
Thanks, John.
The Eagles warming up out on this ground as if they need to warm up on a night like this. Historically, they haven't played well in the pre-season cup competition, unlike the Adelaide Crows. 5 semi-finals appearances in their 12 years in the competition. The Crows are ready.
Yes, and they are. And the Adelaide side was a terrific win against Port Adelaide last week, an intense game of football. And from their point of view, Ronnie Burns will be in the side. A bit disappointing last week. Very keen to see how he plays. And Andrew Crowell is out. The Crows can play 26 players. They took 26 here to Darwin. They're only going to play with 25. He pulled up a little bit sore after training yesterday. So 25, 26 Clinton. It's much the muchness. There's going to be some heavy rotation, as I mentioned.
The Crows don't have their big gun recruit in Wayne Carey as we have a look at a couple of those big names, Bickley and McLeod. A homecoming of sorts for Andrew McLeod, given that he hasn't played up here in Darwin since the under-16 days with the Darwin Buffalo. So he's going to enjoy it tonight. I mentioned no Wayne Carey, the biggest name for the Crows, but he'll be with us here at halftime tonight on Fox Footy Channel. How does Ben Hart see the things coming into this game? He is in that, well, a short time ago was in that air-conditioned cool box with Tiff Cherry.
Ben was standing in the air-conditioned box. What do you make of it?
It's nice in here. I know training yesterday was very warm and it certainly sweat a lot, so it might be used to good effect in here, I think.
The guys don't usually like to come on the bench, but you'd be saying there might be a few hands up.
Yeah, I think if the time comes, it might be, my turn. But, it's going to be very warm out there, but the ground's in fantastic condition, so we're looking forward to it.
How are you guys approaching the pre-season? It's come out that you're really intent on winning and, making sure that you get that under your belt for the confidence, make sure you hit the ground running round one.
Yeah, I don't think it's ever been said that we want to win it, though, or in-house anyway. We just want to certainly stay in the competition as long as we can, because we see that as the best preparation for round one. So that's what we're all about.
How are you going to approach the game just in terms of making sure, you can stay out there?
Yeah, look, it's... you still have to go into the same as any other game. You've just got to be probably a bit smarter, though, when you get a chance to come off or have a rest, that they rotate those guys through there pretty well.
Right, good luck. Thanks for joining us.
Ben Hart with Tiffany Cherry a short time ago. The Thunderstorms are just about ready to roll in. What's your selection?
I think the Adelaide Crows. They are coming off a 6-day break, but I think on paper they're a little bit stronger and a little bit more experienced.
Big game coming up tonight on our way to a break. Big news from Fox Footy Channel today. Earlier I spoke with Foxtel's Director of AFL Operations, Rick McKenna. And Rick, some exciting news to tell us about.
Indeed, Clinton. I'm delighted to announce that from March 23 at 7:30 p.m, Foxtel will launch a new channel for South Australian viewers. South Australian footy fans will be able to get Fox Footy Extra, which is a second footy channel, which will concentrate on the local market of South Australia, the Crows, Port Adelaide, and of course the SANFL. The SANFL games will appear on Fox Footy Channel.
So this is an extra addition to the Fox Footy Channel. The Fox Footy Channel will stay the same. This is another addition.
Indeed, at no extra charge you receive 2 footy channels. And as I said, specialising in replays of the Port Power, Adelaide Crows, The SANFL Match of the Round will be on in prime time during the week, and we'll also have classic matches of all those teams, including the 1994 Sandford Grand Final, Port versus Eagles, and other sensational classic matches through history.
Gee, well, that's great news for SA footy fans then, and a nightly edition of White Line Extra as well.
White Line Extra, especially for South Australian fans, where we'll produce a show Monday to Thursday just for South Australian fans, which will enable them to call in and have their very own show. And we'll also be launching 2 new shows, a half-hour dedicated show to the Crows and a half-hour dedicated show to Port Power, made in Adelaide, and really catering to the needs of the local footy fan.
And as you say, one of the key things is being able to see the Crows and the Power each week at viewer-friendly time slots on the replay. Absolutely.
And in effect, that Fox Footy Extra combined with the Fox Footy channel means you've got footy 48 hours a day.
Sure. Too much footy is never enough, is it?
Indeed.
Rick, good luck for it. It promises to be very, very exciting, and look forward to seeing the Crows in action here tonight.
Thanks, Clinton.
That's coming up next, the Crows and the Eagles, right here on Fox Footy Channel.
North Force is what's called a regional force surveillance unit. What it does is basically defence of the top end. It's a huge area. It's almost 2 million square kilometres. I love driving, so yeah, get out there in somebody else's vehicle and just go for it. Working in an office, wearing a tie, that sort of thing, you just wouldn't have the opportunity or the chance to do the things that we do every day as part of our normal job.
There are sports, and there are extreme sports. Just like there are compact four-wheel drives. And there's the Nissan X-Trail, with the latest generation 2.5-litre engine for extreme all-round performance, on or off-road. The X-Trail. Only Nissan takes the compact four-wheel drive to the extreme.
And that's the scene from Marara Stadium here in Darwin. Multi-million redevelopment of the ground and also the facilities here in the AFL, expecting up to the capacity crowd of 17,000 for this match tonight. Ben Hart and Ben Cousins, the respective captains. Ben Hart deputising for Mark Rasciuto, one of the star Crows, not here this evening. Derek Humphrey-Smith, the chief umpire in charge. As I say, a very good evening to Wayne Schloss. Wayne, great to have you with us tonight.
It is a good evening, Clinton. It's a pleasure to be here.
How do you see this one unfolding as Ben Hart wins the toss and will be kicking to the left of screen for the opening turn?
I think it's a good opportunity to have a look at 2 different sorts of midfields. Adelaide very well established, got some terrific name players. Conversely, the West Coast Eagles have some exciting talent in their midfield brigade. So I think it'll come down to who wins the midfield battles. West Coast play a very direct style of football, similar on the John Worsfold mould, whereas Adelaide will chip it around. They'll play possession football. They're high in handballs and handballs received, so they're not afraid to chip it around and share it with teammates. Once they get forward of centre, they'll go long.
The Eagles leaving out Mark Nikoski and Aaron Edwards from their named squad in the paper, while the Crows leaving out Begley, Stenglein and also Andrew Crowell, who made the trip up, Matty, but isn't going to be taking part. So therefore the Crows running with 25, the Eagles with 26 tonight.
Yes, and an important player that it is missing, you just mentioned, Clinton, is Tyson Stenglein. He is a run with play, he does a terrific job. He would have got the job, Wayne, on Ben Cousins, so unfortunately he's not going to be there. And the last time these two sides met, it was the Cousins and McLeod show. They just absolutely dominated in a half each.
Philip Reid and Nigel Smart getting ready for action here as they get ready to get this one underway. So much to look forward to. And as we mentioned earlier, the homecomings, Andrew McLeod and Ronnie Burns, and they've been the focus of the Northern Territorian, the newspaper here this evening.
Yes, you'd expect a very big game from Andrew McLeod on his home deck. And Wayne, you played up here a couple of years ago. This ground is in absolutely superb condition at the moment.
Yeah, there's a lot of credit that should be accoladed to or awarded to the people that have taken care of the ground. 2 years ago we played a game against Geelong. It was probably at best substandard, but it's a terrific atmosphere and the ground's in superb condition.
Matthew Clark against Michael Gardner. Crowd roar, excited to have AFL footy in the top end. And are excited to have it live and exclusive on Friday Night Football here on Fox, and it's going to be the Crows to try and break clear early. Ronnie Burns was amongst it. Good one. Here's Ronnie. Crowd will be excited to see him get involved early, and Burns loads up, goes long, but Michael Colliker He is back there for the Eagles. The former Hawk didn't play in that thrilling win against Fremantle last week as Ben Cousins marks on half-back. 17-point win. Michael Gardner summing it up late with one of those 9-point goals from beyond 50. Now, Adelaide continuing to attack. Edwards outmarked by Colica there, showing one of his little party tricks. And last night at training here, Matthew, once the sun went down, the lights came on, very, very slippery, as though it was wet conditions.
Yes, the humidity, of course, being up here in Darwin, it's been an amazing month of rain. February, the second wettest February ever. But we're blessed with good conditions at the moment. Let's hope that any thunderstorm holds off. As Colica, who has had a bright start to this evening already. Out in front of Jones, a free kick will go to Rowan Jones against Marty Matner. West Coast enjoying very, very good support here at Marara Stadium. Callum Chambers, the recipient from the Jones kick. The super sub starting tonight. Interested to see Mark Bickley, his return coming off the bench later on, returning from a broken leg. Here's Doughty. Ball came out the back from Tawney. A little bit untidy. He gets it back. Out in front of finding Shirley. Robert Shirley quickly plays on to the Birdman and Brett Burton. Running freely through the centre square. Good kick. There's a whistle off pace and he ran too far. Well, he was running freely, Wayne. And then he didn't have a get-out-of-jail-free card.
Yeah, sometimes the coach will say, first thing that comes into your mind, do that, and rightly so.
Cousins told to go over, the man on the mark.
Couple of key matchups. Good one on Kerr. Philip Reid picking up Ronnie Burns, and Shirley to pick up the captain, Ben Cousins.
Amazed by how Philip Reid has bulked up. First game in 2 years, and obviously he spent those 2 years in the gym because he is really bulking up and looking fit, and no doubt very keen to get going. The Eagles going in wide. Serakowski trying to be nimble around Tawney, hooking this one back. Oh, that's the goal of the night! You can call it now, you won't see better. Boy, big men aren't meant to do that. David Serakowski, nimble on the boundary line. How's that for your opening goal?
Yeah, he's a bulky workhorse, David Serakowski. Really probably needs to use this year as a year that really stamps his authority on the game. Centre-half forward position for West Coast Eagles. A terrific start from the bulky forward, and a good start for the West Coast Eagles, Matty.
Yes, and just what he was looking for. He's had some injury problems, as we know, just managed 6 games last season. And they are a much better side when they have Serakowski in. They certainly play a different brand of football. They're very confident they will go to him. Gardner will do the ruck. Work for the Eagles up against Clark. They have the first goal. Cousins. Stolen by Matthew Clark. Handball puts Laddams under pressure. Coming through is Ashley Sampi, but he just gives it away to McLeod. Dancing around the tackler. Clark. Working well now. Laddams goes long. Beautiful kick by Laddams to the advantage of Edwards. Clever kick. Saw Edwards ducking back. Placed it to the correct side so that he could run onto the ball. And a wonderful finish from him. Laddams, of course, coming off that match-winning goal last week against Port Adelaide in the dying seconds. So, Tyson Edwards to quickly answer the goal by the West Coast Eagles. Coming up for his 6th goal in the pre-season competition in his 18 games. And he has kicked it. Scores a level here at Marara Stadium and a promising start.
Yeah, Tyson Edwards, one of those players, and I think it's important for players that do generally rotate through the midfield, that they add another dimension like a Michael Voss. When you're resting in the forward line, it's important to present yourself, not only fill up the space and make options, but actually register some goals. It puts pressure on the resting backman or the backman that's picking you up whilst you're not on the ball.
A goal apiece, early stages, Friday Night Football on Fox Footy Channel, and great to hear from Rick McKenna pre-game, Matty. Our job description's just been doubled with Fox Footy Extra.
Yes, and I'll be looking forward to the raise in salary as well, Clinton. And I hope Rick's listening.
I'm sure he is. Edwards happy. Crows on the board. They've really got to slam the ball down in that centre turf, very soft turf, to try and get some elevation. The umpires, and fortunately for the Wizard Cup, they're able to toss it in the air for the bouncers around the ground, which they do now. Gardner and Clark. Clark getting the hand to it. Goodwin pulled off it. Johncock weaving his way through. Sends the Crows inside 50. Spoil, was it illegal by Green? No, he was the man to get the free kick. Sampi to clear. Attacking side of the wing. Out in front of Jones. Can run here against Mattner. Mattner good pressure and does well to force a boundary throw in. One of these new Adelaide Crows played 7 games in his rookie season last year, having been elevated from the rookie list after some good form with Sturt, and Martin Mattner getting involved early.
And Ken played very close. Excellent tackler.
Gardner in front of Clark. It's going to be an intriguing duel tonight. Ground level, smart for the Crows from half back. Spins without a man getting a hand on him. McGregor hurriedly to midfield. Cousins gets there, gives it to Green. Eagles can build. Look, watch for the lead now. Green going out wide, and Kane Munro marks just inside the 50. Good setup there by the Eagles. Man on the mark, the former Tiger Jason Tawney, as he stands inside the 50, remembering only a 6-point goal here. 9-point goals for shots beyond the 50-metre arc when the man is standing beyond that arc. So this only for 6 for Kane Munro. He's played a dozen games in his 3 years with the Eagles. Keeps this low and flat, and Troy Wilson adjacent to the goalpost. Marks, plays on. No, whistle had gone. The umpire will come in to set the mark for the big 31-year-old Troy Wilson. Already gasping for breath, Wayne.
Yeah, he's a lump of a lad, and a player that you'd like to have on your side, Clinton. Certainly attacks the ball very hard and keeps the backman honest. They're not too sure. Certainly when they're going for a contest, if Troy Wilson's anywhere near the contest, he'll certainly make you earn the kick.
38 goals last season in 14 matches. This will just be a little step around, hook it through. The Eagles have got their second. Good start for the big forward, Serakowski initially, and now Troy Wilson. And West Coast, staunch underdogs here by a good 4 or 5 goals, depending on which expert you listen to. And they lead by 6 points.
And the replay quite clearly shows there that the resting ruckman, Matthew Clark, or whoever it might have been, really should have been pushing back. You definitely have to have an opposition player on the goal line for the instance that the kick falls short. And really, it's unacceptable from the Adelaide's defence. And Troy Wilson, the beneficiary of a short kick.
So 2 goals to 1. 6 points is the margin. For those of you watching the Wizard Cup for the first time this season, that is the scoreline as you'll see it. 9 points, 6 points, 3 for Rush behind, and then the single behind as we have another ball up.
It didn't take long. Andrew McLeod has now gone to Ben Cousins.
That is a fascinating duel that we'll keep an eye on.
That's worth your $14 admission fee.
Absolutely. Speaking of McLeod, hurried kick straight up in the air. Chris Judd, an outstanding start to the season he had last week. 24 disposals and 2 goals. Here's Cousins, who broke away from McLeod. He's got plenty of space. He's outside his forward 50. He'll try to go around Munro. Just the short pass to Chambers is very good, very measured. Wayne Schwartz is happy with it. Good vision.
It was terrific vision, and again, we were just talking about the importance of Troy Wilson being such a focal point and a big player. Ben Hart and a couple of his teammates focused on Troy Wilson, creating space for his teammate, therefore picked the right option, Ben Cousins, and should result, without putting the moz on him, Matthew, in a goal.
Well, we know your form from last week.
This will go in the commentary box. This could go anywhere. Wayne Schwartz puts the mozzer on him, and just to behind to Callum Chambers. Eagles 13, Adelaide 6. Quickly move the ball in. Ben Hart out to Burton. Will he run his full distance? Almost. Long ball. Glass is playing in front of Stevens, who's returned to the Adelaide Crows side. This is Hunter. Likes playing against the Crows. Has a career best against the Adelaide Crows in 24 possessions. McGregor. Back to McLeod. Smart now running. Adelaide look good and direct once again. Edwards is the target for the second time. Terrific mark in front of Colliker. Wonderful player, Tyson Edwards. Runner-up in their best and fairest. Short. Goodwin. And we saw Goodwin last week against Port Adelaide. Very effective inside that forward 50 for the Adelaide Crows. 29 disposals. He's coming up for the Crows second. He'll kick from basically about the 50-metre line. Right on it. Pretty good off the boot, just drifting. But he's happy with it. Goal to Goodwin, the second goal of the Adelaide Crows. He's a quality player, Wayne. He very rarely misses and wastes the footy.
Yeah, he's similar. He reminds me a lot of Michael Voss, a quality midfielder, but he's able and has the ability to push forward when he's resting forward or pushing down the ground, running through the line, to put pressure on his opponent by kicking a goal, registering a goal, and I just think that adds to a facet of a quality player such as Simon Goodwin.
And the wonderful finish, as Matthew said, makes the margin 1 point. Simon Goodwin with the goal. Kicked 17 last year. First change coming up. Michael Braun ready to head in for the Eagles. Winner of this match to play the winner of tomorrow night's match between the Kangaroos and Melbourne. The other match tomorrow night, live and exclusive to Fox Footy, the Cats and Brisbane from Cairns. Another tropical climb as Gardner finds Cousins, gets it inside 50. Smart with the spoil, working hard. Embley pushed off it. Crows tied up. Doughty, and a bounce just inside the Eagles attacking 50. Really recruiting for the now this year, the Adelaide Crows, with the men that they drafted over summer, sensing that their window of opportunity could be 2003. Judd flicks it out. Embley might finish it off on the run. The Eagles get another one. Andrew Embley, great finish there. West Coast back out by 7 points.
Andrew Embley played extremely well last week, was involved in the midfield rotation. I just think with players such as Judd, Cousins and Kerr, players like Andrew Embley can get underneath opposition guards. They're not a player that they'll focus on too heavily, and proven last week, and he's got off to a great start tonight. He does rack up possessions.
Yes, he has certainly started the season in fine form. Picked up 26 disposals against the Fremantle Dockers.
Good numbers for these shortened quarters.
Fantastic start to the year. It was a toss of the coin between him and Judd for the best player for the Eagles. Gardner, Burton couldn't go with it and was tackled when he didn't have the ball. Good decision, him take the free kick.
Good to know we're getting sophisticated for the best player after the Norm Smith Award last year. We're tossing coins now, are we?
Yes, we can do that. We can do anything you like. Of course, you can play 2 up if you like, Clinton. We're staying at the MGM Grand Casino. Lovely place to stay. Thank you very much. This is Bode. Comes out to Laddams. Quick handball. Judd, though, intercepted nicely. Out in front of Cousins. With him, Munro. I should say Shirley. Shirley. Almost. Cousins quick to his feet again. Flicked out the back beautifully by Smart. Very clever football. Shirley towards Adams, and the spoil comes from Sampi. Was it a throw or was it a clever flick, Wayne?
I think that he'd call it a clever flick, but I think the opposition would say it's a throw. As we'll see in the replay, might tell us. Yeah, I'd give it a throw, Matthew.
Yeah. I'm with you. Outer wing, Biglands deputising for Clark, who's off the ground. Another man just on as Braun. Hurried kick to centre half forward. Embley with the leap. Jones the road. Can he get the finish? And another one for West Coast. It's close. Rowan Jones all clear. And the local fans love it. Boy, a high-scoring start here. The opening 14 or so minutes, 6 goals on the board, 4 for the Eagles, and that was pretty impressive by Rowan Jones.
Yeah, it was a good piece of crumbing play, but the replay will quite clearly show here, Nigel Smart, when you're going to spoil, you've got to make sure that you do make definite contact with the ball, or you take contact with the opposition player's arm out. You can't afford the ball to get over the back, and it's a costly mistake.
Rowan Jones playing in his 10th Wizard Cup game, his 4th goal. Very bright start by the Eagles. And they've now got Cousins down in the forward line at full forward, taking a spell. Judd can't break the tackle. Gardner goes without it. Working hard in there for the Adelaide Crows. Interchange bench will be used quite heavily tonight. Hunter on, Haynes on, or Hunter off, I should say. John Cott, kick smothered by Sampi. Bode flicked it out. Burton onto the end of the handball. Long ball up forward. Goodwin couldn't take it. At the back, this is Perry. Onto that left foot around the corner. Good goal. First goal for Perry. And was very clever there, Wayne. Just sold the defence. They all pushed the one way. Wrong-footed them and just turned into a nice, easy goal in the end.
Yeah, he provided a terrific target after half-time last weekend. Perry really presents himself and just rewards. I think that goal was set up further back the ground when Brett Burton, third man in, tapped the ball out to his teammate. There was a little bit of a fumble, but they got the ball moving forward, and it certainly looked like a set play.
Gary Ayres just wiping a bit of sweat off the brow, perhaps. Not too bad in the coach's boxes Very human for everyone else. 7 points to lead. Gee, they're really struggling with that bounce in the centre. Cox, however, was caught. Crows might be a chance if it sits for John Cox. He paddles it in front, chases after it, can't gather it, and good defensive skills by Chambers. Sees it over for a boundary throw-in. Daniel Kerr might take this time to get ready to check on, as Matthew Clark in one of those air-conditioned boxes down there, about 10 degrees it's set at, and so when the players come off the ground from about the 30 degrees in this high humidity, duck in there for a few minutes and just restore the body temperature as John Cox swoops, gathers, kicks deep to the pocket, ill-directed, out of bounds on the full. Tiffany Cherry's been down in that cool box. Tiff, we envy you. Hi.
I was in the cool box, but I'm not anymore. I tell you what, the humidity down here is creating very wet conditions with the ball. Yesterday when the Crows trained, they were dropping a lot of overhead marks, so the low trajectory marks are very important. And yes, both boxes are being used by the two teams at this point in time.
Good to have you with us, Tiff. Carroll with the kick in. Burton flying high, as always, unable to control it on this occasion. Haynes for Fletcher. You can see, as Tiff spoke about there, that slippery ball. Rain hasn't started falling yet, but it is tough to get a hold of it, particularly with pressure like that. And we'll have a bounce, or ball being tossed in the air, rather, attacking side of the wing for the Crows.
Quarter-final action, 6.5 minutes remaining in this first quarter. 25 to 18, 7 points, and the free kick to the Eagles. Callum Chambers. John Cock on the mark. Chambers certainly taking his time. Should suit the Adelaide defence. Chance to man up and go one-on-one. Kick's going to drop a bit short. Sierakowski the target. Hart just put enough pressure on him to force the error, and they'll be happy with the ball over the boundary line for throw-in. Sierakowski straight off for a rest after that attempt at a mark. Beautiful night for football, apart from the humidity.
Not if you play.
Great to sit up here and watch. Fletcher. Cutting it off, though, was Jason Tawney. So the former Tiger, back in his home state of South Australia, playing with the Adelaide Crows. Dangerous kick. 2-on-1, the contest should suit the Eagles as Haynes finds Embley. Hart had to commit himself, and now some space for Embley. Outside the 50, goes towards Jones. Too much carry on the kick, and John Cock takes the easy mark. John Cock goes back now. There's 3 Crows out there on their own. One of them is Nigel Smart. The forward handball was to Ben Hart. Some experience combining there. Hart, long ball inside towards Perry, over the back of Glass. Goodwin there for the Crows. Also with him is Green. Goodwin does beautifully to keep it in. Simon Goodwin for his second, and it's a beauty. Real class showed there by Simon Goodwin. And their experienced players all involved there, Wayne.
Yeah, Ben Hart actually stayed out. He was involved in a previous contest. John Cock got the ball back out in his direction. Simon Goodwin just shows the importance of doing weight work, keeping your feet, got the right position, got his opponent out of the way, put that down to experience, but that's fantastic play, Simon Goodwin.
He was excited, and why not? Fair bump, the call, and a second goal for Simon Goodwin. Gets the Crows back within a point into the time-on period of this opening term. And that's a better bounce in the centre. The men in orange really having to work hard. Who will get the clearance? The Crows. Edwards. Hand pass out in front. Bounce important here. McLeod peels off. Crows can build. Matner beautiful. Here goes McLeod. Crowd love it. 52 out to the top of the goal square. 2-on-2 contest. Can Goodwin squeeze out another one? Uses his body well. Does he get a push in the back? No. Boundary throw in. Right forward pocket Adelaide. This crowd just lifting as one when Andrew McLeod gets close. Mark Bickley, one of a number, 7 of them. Crows players on the bench, limbering up. Broke his leg last start in Ireland in the second test in the international rules. Makes his return tonight ahead of schedule. Goodwin again, doing it all this quarter for another one. Not quite. Missing to the near side. Scores locked away. 25 apiece, entertaining opening.
Yeah, both sides generally like to tap the ball defensive so that their players are facing towards their goals. Didn't get the target, but terrific pressure by Matthew Bode. A little bit unlucky, Simon Goodwin registering a behind.
So just over 4 minutes remaining. Scores level. Burton for the fly, couldn't quite get it. Stevens mops up nicely for him. This is Doughty. Bit too far there for Matthew Bode. That'll be out on the full. Brett Burton almost a big mark. One of the great high flyers in the AFL game today. Well, that was a high fly that went straight through the hands. Embley, though, ahead towards harm. He has got an absolute paddock in front of him. No one ahead of him. It could be 9, but he decides to go towards Troy Wilson. He's not there. Jones. Also, there was Munro, but the Crows clean it up. This is Magna. Taking his time once again. Waiting for a loose player. Now Shirley has got into some space, but goes for the longer ball to out towards Goodwin on the wing. Eagles go forward once again. Munro at the back, Jones at the front. Terrific mark. Well, he floated across. He was the second man into the contest, and in the end, he was the only one that got near the footy.
Yeah, he just had a terrific run. Nigel Smart was focused on his direct opponent, couldn't get back hard enough. Rowan Jones, beautiful sit, took a relatively easy mark.
So Rowan Jones, for his second, to put the Eagles back in front. 25 metres out, shouldn't be a problem. Looks pretty good off the boot. He's got 2. The Eagles lead by 6 points. And that forward line at the moment seems to be functioning pretty well, Wayne. We've seen a lot of rotation through that forward 50, and as we speak, Jones kicks the goal and comes off.
Yeah, we just saw Troy Wilson come on for Michael Gardner. Rowan Jones, the goal kick, as you said, Matthew. I just think it just highlights the importance of, if you don't win the ball, you've just got to make sure that's not an easy possession back into your defensive 50, as that was there for the Eagles.
The Eagles making a change with Adam Selwood coming onto the ground for the first time. The 18-year-old out of the Bendigo under-18s, drafted 53rd in last year's national draft. Eagles back on top late in this opening term. Cox and Biglands to contest the bounce in the centre. Biglands winning it down. Cousins is going to be harassed often. McLeod with the squirting off the ground kick, trying to get it to Bott. There's a high tackle there, and Green is going to emerge with a free kick. Centre half back for the Eagles. Thinks about playing on to Braun. And caught Matthew Bode out of the corner of the eye. So decides to go short. Fletcher, one of the stars last week with 20 touches. Backs himself for a bounce on the soft turf. Going out wide. That's okay. Finds Haynes. Eagles impressing early. Crowded forward line though for Haynes. Pops it up. Wilson now might sit back for him. Goes to ground, can't control it. Crows defence under pressure. Harder's good though. Getting it out wide. Now they can go short. Dowdy for Bott. Couldn't control it. Here's Ronnie Burns. Off to Goodwin. Look at the speed. Goodwin towards Stevens at half forward. Perry to do the roving. Couldn't quite control it. Back near the line. Still with Stevens. Hurried handball for Bode. Runs out of room. We'll have a boundary throw-in.
Just watching Mark Stevens just put the left hand up there. Normally a very solid overhead mark. Not too sure if he has some sort of injury at the present moment.
It was a late withdrawal last week with a back complaint. Bit of a twinge. Question marks over him for this match for the former Rube, but deciding to play. There were question marks over the man on the left, Mark Bickley, for a while. Extraordinary comeback. Goodwin everywhere. Hurried kick towards centre half forward. Bounce kind for Haynes, but the pressure from the Crows was pretty intense. Burton a high ball. Lynch unable to control it. Does he give away a free? Perry going to ground. No whistle. Frenetic action in this quarter-final as Braun's brought down. Well, that was a throw. Carroll flicking it out. Bode will take the free, 70 metres out. Inside the final minute. In fact, so much so, and there's the siren. Bode surely couldn't land this from 58. He won't, and that's quarter time. Entertaining opening term here on a very sticky night at Marara Stadium in Darwin. And at quarter time, it's the visiting Eagles by a goal, 5-1-31. The Crows 4-1-25, live across Australia, Friday night football.
How do you get footy 48 hours a day? With Fox Footy Channel and now Fox Footy Extra, a footy channel devoted solely to SA footy. All the Crows and Port games, including the classics. And Fox Footy Extra will bring you all the best matches from the SA NFL archives, including the 1994 Grand Final between Port and the Eagles. Fox Footy Extra will also have a new weekly half-hour show dedicated to the Crows, and one for the Power. What do we need that for? Fox Footy Extra, the footy channel dedicated to South Australian fans.
North Force is what's called a regional force surveillance unit. What it does is basically defence of the top end. It's a huge area. It's almost 2 million square kilometres. I love driving, so yeah, get out there in somebody else's vehicle and just go for it. Working in an office, wearing a tie, that sort of thing, you just wouldn't have the opportunity or the chance to do the things that we do every day as part of our normal job.
The Nissan Navara Turbo Diesel is not only the most powerful in its class, but with a massive 110 kilowatts of power, it's far and away the most powerful in its class. Which is a good thing, because when it comes to hard work, there's always more to be done.
No worries.
Now you asked for it, now here it is. It's the grumpiest of grumpies all summer long. Your chance to get back to the good old days with talk tales from the legends of the game.
Bobby Davis, KB and the boys. The grumpiest of grumpy old men all summer, exclusive to Fox Footy Channel.
We want a premiership. Are you prepared to win the membership premiership? Have you got the support of your friends and teammates? Got your reserve seat? And got the passion and pride to achieve our goals? Call 9816 2245 or visit hawthornefc.com.au.
I mean, I had no experience or anything, but after 3 months of training, I was a qualified army driver with a guaranteed job, and my career was up and running.
Saturday, the Roos have a date with destiny when they clash with the D's at the Dome. Don't miss all the excitement of the quarterfinals of the Wizard Cup. Kangaroos versus Melbourne, Saturday night, Fox Footy Channel.
6-point lead for the Eagles at quarter time. 5-1 plays 4-1. Rowan Jones with a couple of enterprising goals up forward. Serakowski with, I know it was early and I called it. It was the goal of the night, the opening goal of the match. Just a beauty from Serakowski. Embley and Wilson each with one. Goodwin with a couple of goals for the Adelaide Crows. We've spoken about how hot it is. Well, this isn't the cone of silence. It's the cool room that the respective teams are using. 10 degrees inside, outside 30 degrees, and as humid as you could possibly imagine, but in there 10 degrees. Look at the ice packs, look at the sweat dripping off the likes of Ronnie Burns and company. Wayne, that just goes to show how hot and steaming it is here in Darwin.
Yes, and I think it shows the importance that the clubs emphasise on player recovery.
Keeping cool, as always, is our Tiff. Down to you, Tiffany.
Rob, the intensity certainly up from both sides. Are the players paying for it at this point of the game?
No, I suppose our method was to try and keep rotating, probably like Adelaide, and the guys are coming off reporting that the conditions aren't so bad out there, but the game goes for a long time, so we've got to be mindful of that. Plus the air conditioned box will try and cool them down pretty quickly. This time last night you guys trained, a lot of problems with a slippery ball. How are the guys counteracting that? Yeah, there's going to be a few problems, I suppose, because it's just slightly different conditions with the humidity, but they just got to make sure they keep their eye on it, and it'll come around. But as I said, you just got to come up with those things. And obviously the cool box, the ice vest, everything's been used to try and counteract the humidity. Yeah, no, as I said, plenty of fluids because got to keep their hydration up. And as I said, we'll make sure we keep rotating all night. And hopefully, as I said, they'll be standing on 2 feet at the end of the game. All right, thanks, Rob. Thanks, cheers.
Robert Wiley pretty happy at this point in time. 6 points the lead for the Eagles in behind closed doors, listening to John Worsfold at the break. Plenty coming up this year on Fox Footy Channel or Fox Footy Extra, which, as we heard from Rick McKenna, starting Sunday, March 23, and one show that's close to my heart, Matty, as we know, is White Line Fever.
Are you on that?
Yeah.
Right. Well, Wayne Schwartz, I was very impressed.
Australia, it's time now for you to have your say.
I just wouldn't mind hearing a few words from you.
Hi Clint, hi Richo, how are you going?
Hi Tony, how are you going?
Good, Greg. What would you like to say?
I'm pretty shocked actually.
Unlike most footy stories, no one saw this one coming.
I just think he's made a decision, and probably the most courageous decision.
If you're a betting man, what would you say about where you'll be at next year?
I haven't got any idea.
This is going to be recorded and played when you're drafted.
Nah, I'll follow Carlton.
How did you feel when they
were on the end of the phone saying, no, look, Tony, that's it.
Football cannot support 10 clubs in Victoria.
Gee, this is a remarkable story.
We think our supporters pay enough money at the moment to go to the football.
Nathan Buckley has been suspended. It means he is out of the running for the Brownlow medal.
Merger or relocation was never ever considered by our board, I can tell you quite honestly.
Let's get to calls now.
Quentin, I'm pretty disappointed that you didn't get invited to the Brownlow.
Thank God I don't care where you play on the field, Curdy, you're back.
Neil Danaher, welcome. Good to have you in.
How come he hasn't turned grey yet like the rest of these 15 coaches?
Some absolute out-and-out superstars there, isn't there?
I don't see the wooden spoon as being anything. No one gives a present.
Because you come from Collingwood and you've won plenty of them.
We're going out there to win every game. You heard it here first on Fox Footy Channel live around Australia.
You've got to be careful who you talk to in football.
Well, there were some big names there, weren't there? Returning soon, Monday, March 24. In fact, 7:30 Eastern Time, weeknights, White Line Fever. Hope you can join me for that and more. Second quarter about to start here, Matt, and you've got the key numbers.
It's been an interesting quarter for the West Coast Eagles. Leading possession winner for them is Ben Cousins with 5. Robert Shirley with 6 for the Adelaide Crows. McLeod and Goodwin also with 5 disposals. We're underway, Clinton.
Gardner getting his hand to it first. Shirley, deft little touch intended for McLeod. Went without it, so Shirley butters up. Good use of the body, deemed by the umpire by Bode. He's caught by Braun. This is Laddams, the hero from last week. Tumbles the punt towards the goal square. Edwards couldn't get boot to ball. And it's through for behind to the Crows. Now, they can bring this out quickly, Carroll, and he does go short into the back pocket and finds Chambers.
There you see plenty of ice on hand.
Local petrol station doing a great deal tonight, aren't they? With all that ice.
Can you give them a plug? Are you getting any free petrol out of that? Or?
I'll leave it there.
Yes, you can. Casey Green for the West Coast Eagles. Only 43 disposals compared to Adelaide's 55, yet they led by 6 points in that first quarter. So good use of the footy. Stevens can't go far. And over the top there's Quinton Lynch, who's on the ground. Now he's in a different jumper this season. Last season he wore 45. You'll see him in number 21 this year.
Even the umpires wearing the ice vests.
And why wouldn't they? They do have to cover plenty of ground. Goodwin, 2 goals in that first quarter, but the ball is out of bounds.
And they've been rotated as well. Derek Humphrey-Smith having a seat. Of course, there's a lot of supporters who say umpires should be dragged.
I'm not venturing into that at all. Gardner to do battle with Clark. Sort of got in the back of Clark there. Play on was the call. Shirley, impressive first quarter. Likewise, Goodwin. Hugs it round towards the 50-metre line. This is Burns. Right with him is Reid. Braun. There you see Adelaide on top in the middle, especially from the centre breaks one.
Yeah, they're doing a terrific job, but I just want to talk about Philip Reid's welcome back into AFL football. He's done a terrific job on Ronnie Burns. Ronnie's had 2 possessions so far, but Philip Reid has spent a fair bit of time in the gym and is playing accordingly.
Adelaide also on top when they've run through fairly freely, as does McLeod. On the burst from 52, wobbles the kick forward, it's good enough. It lands on the chest of Perry. I thought for a second we were going for 9 points there, Wayne.
Could have been fine for 9, Matt.
Fine for 9 he was. It's already been out. Well done. But Perry lining up, Clinton Groves has run away as Ian Perry is going to line up for his second. Special comments by Wayne Schwass, a veteran of 282 AFL games. Right throughout our season on Foxtel, we've been enjoying Wayne Schwass's comments. And the second goal to Ian Perry scores. Adelaide now hit the front by 1 point.
Yeah, Trent Carroll couldn't do much about that. When Andrew McLeod was streaming towards goal, you probably would have thought as an opposition player that he would have kicked the 9-point goal. Not so. Trent Carroll had to turn around, see where Ian Perry was. And Ian Perry was focused on the ball. It took a relatively easy chest mark and a good goal.
A brand new Extra Footy channel dedicated to your state, your team at no extra charge. Fox Footy Extra starting next month. 48 hours of footy a day. It's got to be called the divorce channel, doesn't it? Crows have their first lead of the game now. 5-2 plays 5-1. Fans, cool boxes, they're sweltering here in the top end. Wonderful work. Gardner to Cousins. Handball was stolen away though. Crows going forward initially through Gallagher. Following it up again is Gallagher. Just sending them through rugby style. This is Reid using that extra bulk, as you mentioned, Wade, to get rid of Mark Stevens and see it over the boundary line.
The Adelaide Crows are just starting to dominate around the ground. They seem to have more numbers and they have the ability, even if they are being tackled, through the arms and get the ball out to a loose teammate.
Time for the Eagles defence to stand up under early pressure in this second term. Clark and Gardner. A little bit of a wrestle, basketball style. Clark winning it down. Here's Fletcher though. Little slip to the outer side through the hands of Jones. Good follow up though. Eagles have an open forward line here so they can look to go. Well weighted ball for Sarakovsky. Deep to the attacking zone. Sampi charging out after it. This is Wilson. Wheels around on the 50, just inside. High ball towards the goal square. Watch the bounce here. Tawney under pressure. Good work here by the Eagles, and they'll rush it through, and that will be 3 points for the Eagles, I would fancy, although it's only deemed 1. I felt it would have been a rush behind.
Yeah, I would have thought that was a definite rush behind. 3 points.
Well, only deemed as 1.
If that's not a rush behind, what is if you run the ball over the line? More to hear about that perhaps later on. At the moment, the ball's with Tyson Edwards. The score's a level. Burton. Kicks to the lead of Perry. He's got to beat 2 though. One at the back was Colliker. Clever work by Burns to keep it going forward. Reid on the up was good. Cousins has Chambers but misses him. Falls out of bounds.
I just sometimes think a player such as Ronnie Burns, who's very good with either side of his body and tries to tap the ball sometimes, I think you've got to make your mind up. When you're not playing well early on, you've got to be ferocious, attack the ball and just keep the ball moving forward rather than being too fancy.
Statistically, Adelaide on top in almost every department at the moment. Smothered ball, touched off hands. Spoil came from Judd was good. Kerr, he is a very, very clever player. There's a free kick. It's a push, and it's going to Nigel Smart. So as the West Coast broke forward, now a chance for the Crows.
Yeah, just a little bit overzealous in his attempt to shepherd David Sierakowski.
They have running players. McLeod gives it off to Edwards, off the left boot. Not bad, it'll do. Stevens marks, clever kick from Edwards. And the use of the ball once again by the Adelaide Crows as they break inside their forward 50. Clever kicks the advantage of the forward.
And it's no surprise that they're up in the top echelon with marks, handballs and kicks. They're a very skillful side. The beauty about that kick from Tyson Edwards was the fact that Simon Goodwood made a very hard and fast lead out towards the pocket, created space, left the hole open. Mark Stevens, the recipient of a very good disposal.
Stevens returned to the side. Didn't play last week. He had a back injury. This to put the Crows back in front. And this would be, he's lining up in his 13th pre-season game. This could be his 13th pre-season goal of his career. Looks pretty good off the boot, and it is. The Crows lead by 6 points. Mark Stevens kicks his first. And the high-quality game continues.
Yeah, it's very free-flowing, and there's some terrific skills on show. Mark Stevens, and a player that's not playing tonight, Scotty Welsh, I think will thrive on the fact that Wayne Carey will assume the centre-half forward position this year when he does finally make his way back in here.
3 of your ex-Kangaroo teammates.
Yes, there's something in that, Matthew.
You better get out there. You look all right in a Crows jumper.
I don't think he could hack it. He said he's not even coming out with us out later on tonight. So Adelaide by 6 points now. Eagles getting ready to make some changes. They have plenty to pick from. 8 on the bench. Ball thumped back into the turf. Gardner couldn't find a teammate there. Bo did well, ducked out of the impending tackle. Target was Perry. 2 on 2. The skills of Andrew McLeod coming to the fore there. Goes deep over the head of Stevens. He might end up with it anyway. 2 in a minute, not quite. Missing the hook kick, Mark Stevens, but it's fair to say, Wayne, the Crows are pressing now.
Yeah, they are. They're really putting the foot down. The thing about Simon Goodwin there, while he's resting in the forward line, it's very important to have a second person in behind that initial lead. A little bit unlucky, the ball bounced just before him. Mark Stevens touched off the boot, but they're certainly looking very potent at the moment, the Crows.
Braun to bring it back into play. Crows setting up the zone defensively. Long kick in, target, Gardner. Terrific leap, couldn't finish it off. Neither could Cousins. Now Laddams. Squaring ball for Ronnie Burns. And that gets them excited here in the top end. Ronnie Burns played with St Mary's up here before playing 134 games with the Cats. Some saying the jury's still out on his drafting by the Adelaide Crows, out to perhaps redefine his role, move further upfield out of the forward pocket. And after a goalless start last week, this could be his first in an Adelaide Crows jumper. Ronnie Burns. All clear. The homecoming capped with a goal. Adelaide on the march. Their lead is 13 points.
And he most definitely needed to kick that goal, Clinton. He had two loose teammates further up the ground. Simon Goodwin, I think it was Mark Stevens. But you can't tell me that Ronnie Burns was desperate for a solid possession.
Adelaide now just edging away to a 13-point margin. Burns finishing off that kick nicely. A little bit of relief for him. Phil Reid right next to him. Not much movement at the goal square at the other end at the moment. 7-3 Adelaide, 5-2 West Coast. Forward once again. Reid's got to go back with courage. He did it. He went there. Burton just shoved out of it by Sierakowski and by Lynch. And that is a free kick to Burton in no uncertain terms. Burton, players are plenty inside forward 50. Goodwin can't keep it in.
Quinton Lynch's game is developing, wouldn't you say?
He's a big boy. He is a very big boy. Quinton Lynch has a bright, promising future at the West Coast Eagles. Has burst onto the scene with 5 goals last season. Chance for Kerr now. Hunter. Played for time.
Two players that the West Coast really need to step up at the moment is Michael Gardner and Chris Judd. Both played very good games last week, but they are missing at the moment.
Here's Gardner to do battle with Clark. Lovely work from Clark. 2 hands to the advantage of Smart. Johncock. Long ball up forward. Perry there, also Stevens. And it's out of bounds as we go back down to Tiffany Cherry on the boundary.
He is absolutely exhausted. Brett Burton exhausted. The conditions very tough. I just spoke to one of the umpires. They've got headaches and yeah, very, very hot down here.
45 playing 32. Clark and Gardner again. Clark, clever use of true tap ruckman. Goodwin gave it to McLeod. Dangerous when he's got time. Hooks it towards the danger zone in front of the square. Good strong mark by Perry. Got rid of Edwards, but it was his teammate. Very fair there. And Perry is proving a real handful for the West Coast defence.
Yeah, I think the replay might show that that was intelligent play by Tyson Edwards. Knew that Ian Perry was going to take the chance, or the mark, would have thought that he would have. Tyson Edwards just gave him enough protection when the ball was coming in that allowed Ian Perry to take that mark.
Mark Bickley has entered the arena for his first run as we're watching Perry looking for his 3rd goal. Simple kick from 25 metres out. Ian Perry's got 3. The Adelaide Crows all of a sudden are 3 goals ahead. Question mark now on the West Coast Eagles. All of a sudden, Lane through the midfield. I mean, that's where they're not getting any drive out of Judd. You mentioned also Curve. It's not happening for them through the middle.
Yeah, and they really need those top 3 or 4 players to be firing. But when you're actually in an offensive setup and you're a defender or you're a midfielder pushing down on those midfielders that have pushed forward, such as Goodwin, that when there's a boundary throw in, you've got to play defensive side. What Adelaide's doing is actually taking their direct opponent to where they want them so they get the correct positioning.
Only kicked 6 goals for all of last season. Ian Perry played in 11 matches, but 3 this evening, midway through this second term. A bright start as Biglands and Gardner await. There's Bickley. He'll be eager to get his first possession. Coming back from that broken leg. Biglands for Bode. High one towards McLeod and Braun at half forward. They both leap for it at ground level. Chance for the Eagles to clear. Lynch a high one towards half forward for Embley, wrestling with Smart. Deft touch by Nigel Smart for Doughty. He was dragged off it. Now, Embley back near the wing for Ashley Sampi. Wanted to go to the centre corridor. Bereft of options, goes long. Gardner the height against Johncock. And Johncock does well. Good harassment. Big ones with support. Matner going to ground. And we will have an Adelaide Crows free kick, perhaps in the back call. Matner up quickly. Good to see the young man thinking there, finding Hart, finding Johncock. Big raps on Graham Johncock after his terrific year last year, winning the Chairman's Award for Best Emerging Talent at the Crows. And they say he was in great touch over summer as well. 25 games up. Well, give a guy a rap.
What have you done?
Give the guy a rap. He wanted to get Mark Bickley involved, and why not? Give it to the former skipper. Give it back to him. We get another possession as he finds Bode on hard back. Adelaide with 6 of the last 7 goals in this game. Another 1 or 2 before the break, and they'll really have control. The whistle will not be paid for that kick. It was backwards. Bode to Smart, but look at them run down the corridor now. And here's Beckley. Back to former bowl. Inside 50 over the head of Stevens. Coming out ambitiously. Munro going very wide, but effectively for Dean Cox. He can go to McDougall on the wing. Does. Wants the kick like it's wide. Out on the full. And Biglands will take it right below us on centre wing.
Red Biglands now. High ball. Lynch goes back. Takes a good mark. Not much chance there for Stevens. Not the sort of kick he wanted coming in the forward line. Here's Gardner on his own. Hum runs for him. Lovely slip of the handball over to Hum. Direct football. Out in front. This is Selwood. Chance for his first kick, his first goal. It is! Adam Selwood starts on the bench. Has his first kick for the West Coast Eagles, and he's delighted because he's kicked a goal.
Yeah, why not? Good reward for the young fella. But that was a terrific kick from Hum. Kick that. When you're trying to kick to a leading target, you don't necessarily want to sit on the top of their head. As the replay will show, the kick was a terrific one. It was out in front, allowed Selwood to run on the ball, never really allowed his direct opponent, put any sort of pressure on him whatsoever. So a very intelligent kick and a desperately needed goal for the Eagles.
And if you thought we said the name Selwood last week, you're right. Twin brother Troy, drafted by the Brisbane Lions.
I think if I was West Coast Eagles captain in Ben Cousins, I'd be asking the umpires to give away bouncing the ball in the centre square, throw the ball up, give their on-ballers every sort of chance.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Gary Ayres with the headset in his hand. Gardner for Judd. Had it knocked away. Here's Judd trying to get involved. Laddams has got him, not illegally. Play on the call. Green to half forward. Mini revival perhaps by the Eagles. McDougall couldn't hold it in. He was close. And now McGregor can set them up through Hart as they sweep it out of defence. Gallagher towards half forward for Laddams, just over his head. And the boundary line might be the best friend of Casey Green. No, keeps it in. Well done. Glass for Judd. Neat little sidestep. Gets past Gallagher. Jones was perhaps thinking about where he was going to dispose of it before he'd already taken it in. And the Eagles, despite having a man or two advantage there, have given up possession. Not getting it out, Dean Cox. Cardinal sin there.
Yeah, just compounded by the fact that Rowan Jones had the ball spent before he actually had possession.
Costly turnover perhaps. Laddams on the outer wing. He'll still be on a high after that game winner last week. Half of the 25,000 fans at Amy's Stadium sent into raptures. Bode keeping it in. Clever. Over the top. Ronnie Burns. Touch of magic on this Darwin night. Not quite, or is it? Goal to Burns. Spectacular stuff by Ronnie. Crows fans happy. He's back.
Handy player to have in the forward line. Doesn't get a lot of the, he's not getting a lot of the ball at the moment, but has kicked 2 goals in the second quarter. It seems to be working his way slowly, ever so slowly, into the game. And he's another guy. When you put in Stevens, Welsh, Carey, McLeod, Burns, it's a pretty tempting forward line, Matthew.
Well, that's what they've been after, a forward line that functions for them. We know how good their midfield is. 57 plays 38. Burns has kicked 2. Perry has 3. Jones, the only multiple goal kicker for the West Coast Eagles, as Adam Hunter takes a spell. Likewise, Laddams. Biglands was there, trying to bust through Shirley. Here's Ronnie Burns, the goal kicker. Edwards went without it. Jones tries to give it on the up towards Braun. He goes in, battles hard for it. Got to beat 2 or 3 Crows and gets a free kick too high over the shoulder. Michael Braun a chance to send the Eagles into attack.
Robert Shirley doing a terrific job on Ben Cousins, very quiet in the second quarter.
Short pass, Judd.
He's lifted.
Yep. Possession number 5 for Judd. Out in front of Emily. Oh, beautiful work by Smart. Hardly put a foot wrong so far tonight. Right on top of him. Numbers here for the Crows. And poise and balance shown by Tyson Edwards. Over to Matner, they're running. Here's McLeod on the burst. Long ball. Perry the target. One-on-one battle with Glass. Free kick. It's going to go to Perry. Holding on. He's quick to move it. Away he goes. Onto the right boot. Poor kick, though. Sets up the West Coast for the punch. Good work by Perry once again. It comes to Lynch. Smothered ball, play on the call. Haynes swapped by the Crows. 2 tacklers, one Bickley, the other Perry.
It's very evident the pressure that the Adelaide Crows are putting on, not only when they have the ball, but when they don't have the ball. Defensively, they're first rate at the moment.
19 minutes have elapsed in this second term, 17 and a half plus time on in the Wizard Cup, and we might do it all again. Still inside the centre square. A lot of big names out for the Eagles. Banfield, Chick, Wooden, Morrison, McIntosh, Adkins, Jakovic, Gasper, the Matera brothers were a punter. 11 names in all. Crows missing about a half dozen. Braun on the break. Delivery towards Gardner. Terrific footing. Wonderful pass by Michael Braun, and now Gardner can look to steady the Eagles here. It will only be for 6, although he's beyond the 50-metre line. High ball will land in the square, and offhands the Crows decide to keep it in. Hart with 4 Eagles behind him. Wonderful pickup though by the veteran. Cox, however, standing in the way. The ball not getting to Bock. Still Dean Cox working. Finding Kerr, ducks the head, caught. Bigland's got him. Shirley's got him. Bigland's off the ground. Gains 30 metres. Perry now colliding with Glass, and it's over for a boundary throw in 60 around from the Crows' goal. If you've got something you'd like to raise out of tonight's game, you can join us on air after the match as we check the inside 50s. We're taking talkback 1300 65 65 25. Write that number down. We look forward to taking your calls on air after the game. Friday night footy here on Fox Footy. As Goodwin swoops, no support, handballs to space. Burns couldn't quite garner possession. Oh, Glass, dare I say it, with some class there. The mini torpedo to Kerr. Shirley drags him away, but the Eagles can go now. Stake of the first game. Oh, gee, that's good hands. Nice pickup by Selwood. The youngsters combining for West Coast. Late in this term. High ball to half forward. Adelaide with numbers, and Smart will win out.
It's been impressive, Nigel Smart. Short ball to Bickley. The veterans combine. This is Bock. He went without it. Adelaide player, but John Cock comes in to lend a hand. Spins around. Caught too high, gets the free kick. Is advantage paid? No. They were away.
Robert Shirley coming off for a well-deserved rest after doing a terrific job on Ben Cousins.
Too high. There's the free kick for John Cock. Cousins having a spell as well. Long ball. Good work. Good use of the body by Stevens. Too good. Wilson also joining Cousins, but once again the Adelaide forward line a little bit too smart, a little bit more clever, Wayne.
Yeah, it's definitely a case of experience. Mark Stevens just had Quinton Lynch in the right position. Quinton Lynch really had to push back aggressively there, make body contact, so it wasn't an easy attempt for Mark Stevens, but again a learning experience for the young fellow.
So Mark Stevens lining up for his second goal of the quarter. Crows currently lead by 19 points. This to make it the largest margin so far of 25. And they're sharing the goals around, the Crows. 30 metres out. Sprays it to the right. No goal. John Worsfold looking on. Wouldn't be too perturbed at the moment. They would probably like to get one before half-time. Perhaps even a 9-point goal. Haven't seen one yet here at Marara Stadium. That is a super kick. That would have scored 9 on any ground. Kerr out to Green. Long ball, Hart there for the Crows. McDougall approaching. Dowdy spins out of the Munro tackle. They go back to relieve the pressure through Burton, who wants to go through the middle. Perry couldn't take it. Braun all of a sudden in some space. Chance for the Eagles. Braun out in front of Gardner, who's gone to fall forward. Gardner needs a clean take, doesn't get it. Judd comes in to lend a hand. It'll be a ball in inside the forward 50 for the West Coast Eagles. Judd and Gardner having a spell through inside their forward 50 for the Eagles, coming out of the midfield.
Just needed to be very clean with his hands, Michael Gardner.
23 minutes gone, second term, so time on the wing. Ball at half forward. From the throw in, a chance for Kerr. Standing start at 48. Pops it up to the hot spot. Eagles everywhere. Man in front, not quite. This is Sampi. Did he beat the siren? Yes. Can't split the middle. The behind will stand for Ashley Sampi. And that is half-time here at Marara Stadium. You mentioned that kick, which went for a ride from Quentin Lynch. Now from the edge of the square, it is going, and going. That's 65 or thereabouts. Impressive. Half-time. Boy, a hot one. Ronnie Burns with a couple of goals. His homecoming, according to the Northern Territorian, the daily newspaper up here. And he'd be pretty happy at the moment. The Eagles, led by 6 points at quarter time, find themselves behind at the break. Matthew Smith still waiting to get a run. 9-4, play 6-3, standard scoreline. No deliberate rushed behinds as deemed by the umpires to this point, and no 9-point goals. Don't forget, coming up during our half-time break, Wayne Carey, not playing tonight with the Adelaide Crows, but on the other side of this break, he will join us. It's Adelaide 58, the Eagles 39. Carey next. They're on Fox Footy.
How do you get footy 48 hours a day? With Fox Footy Channel and now Fox Footy Extra, a footy channel devoted solely to SA footy. All the Crows and Port games, including the classics. And Fox Footy Extra will bring you all the best matches from the SANFL archives, including the 1994 Grand Final between Port and the Eagles. Fox Footy Extra will also have a new weekly half-hour show dedicated to the Crows, and one for the Power. What do we need that for? Fox Footy Extra, the footy channel dedicated to South Australian fans.
Do you want to be part of Fox Footy Channel's live coverage of West Coast versus the Crows? Then here's your chance. Call 1300 65 65 25 after the game to join our expert commentary team. Talkback TV, only on your Fox Footy Channel.
To register for AFL Auskick. Visit the website today to register and you'll get this cool pack. AFL Auskick, it's where champions begin. Proudly sponsored by Simpson.
The Nissan Pulsar is famous for being only $19,990 and for being loaded up with features. Now we're giving the $19,990 Pulsar a very big feature. A 1.8-litre engine. The 1.8-litre, but not 1.6, 1.8-litre Pulsar. Now only $19,990 with air. Big engine, little price.
The Octagon. No place for rules, no place for fear, and no place to hide.
You might feel confident in there, and then boom, you're asleep.
Heavyweight champion Rico Rodriguez defends the title.
Who will dictate the future?
UFC 41 is the onslaught live on Main Event.
Here we go.
Tomorrow, 2 p.m. To book, call your service provider. Saturday night, Brisbane Lions versus Geelong live from Cairns. It's a rumble in the jungle as both cats sharpen their claws and head far north. Will Geelong survive the safari and hold back the feverish Lions? It's powerful stuff. Saturday night, live on Fox Footy.
Night in Darwin, Marara Stadium, the home of footy in the top end. And while it's a little bit humid and for the spectators it's pretty tough, for the players it's terrible, but for the Adelaide Crows it's pretty good at this stage. Ian Perry with 3 goals, Burns and Goodwin each with a couple, Rowan Jones 2 goals for the Eagles. Adelaide turning things around in that second term, having trailed by 6 points at quarter time. They lead by half-time and lead at half-time by 19 points. We've got a raft of great shows here on Fox Footy, all ready to debut the brand new year in the week leading up to the start of the season proper. And Wayne Schwass's favourite is living with footballers.
You're quite fat, have you?
No, I've swallowed a Sharon.
Oh, who told you that?
I could really be insulting you, couldn't I?
Oh, no, you're all
Beautiful. Ronnie, beautifully put.
Well, you won't be making it into the cute butts.
No, I think that I had this mullet only for a month or two.
Oh, I'm not feisty, I'm just blunt.
All the boys like checking out what everyone else is married to that plays footy, so it's good.
We were sitting up in bed and he was pointing out, giving me a few tips and pointers.
when I'm in real trouble, I'm very romantic.
Is it true, do you wax?
I have to.
He looks like Chewbacca and he gets massages all the time.
I buy flowers probably once a week.
To say sorry?
You're entertaining people.
I've heard good things about it.
That's just part of footy, isn't it?
Wonderful. I'll just go with Matt. He's my favourite. And Paul doesn't do that? No, he wouldn't even know my bra size.
And you know what? The players are always so well behaved when they come in as well. Living with Football is returning Tuesday night, March 25. Right here on Fox Footy Channel, and don't forget Fox Footy Extra coming as well. Clinton Gribus along with Wayne Schwass at halftime. I know you would have loved to have gone in and seen the girls, but let's talk about the match here at halftime. The West Coast Eagles looking good at quarter time. We all thought they were coming into this match very much staunch underdogs, and the Adelaide Crows towards the end of that second term really just assuming ascendancy.
Yeah, they did. They were terrific. They were led by their leaders in Goodwin, McLeod, Burton, these type of players. I just think a little bit of inexperience on behalf of the West Coast players in regards to positioning, where to put themselves when they're playing a defensive mindset, that type of thing. But look, the Adelaide Crows in that second quarter have been nothing short of fantastic.
Highlights from the whole game. That first goal from David Sierakowski. I've got to say, I didn't think the big man had those nimble skills still in him. That was a beauty. And Andrew Embley here setting up the Eagles. And as I mentioned, they started well, missing an awful lot of players, as we spoke about. 11 first team players, the Eagles here tonight.
Yeah, it's very difficult, but on the other hand, it's a good experience for the players that wouldn't normally get a game at this level. An interesting couple of statistics. Adelaide Crows 120 possessions, West Coast 90, so they are getting a lot more of the football. And inside 50, 25-14 for the Crows, and there's no surprise that they're in front.
We've seen some good marks. Has been hard though, as we mentioned pre-game throughout the night with Tiffany Cherry. The humid conditions here makes that ball slippery. While it might not be wet as such, it is tough to mark. This was a great bit of play. As you mentioned, Jeremy Humm providing some good run through, and Adam Selwood, first kick for the Eagles, a goal.
It's not a bad way to start your career.
It is. Just terrific. Matthew Bode setting up Ronnie Burns, the homecoming. 2 goals for Ronnie, and that was a beauty.
Yeah, he's got himself into the game now with 2 good goals, and no doubt he'll be looking to get a couple more before the game's over.
You mentioned those statistics. What were some of the other key ones that you found?
I think that Robert Shirley's done a fantastic job. Not only has he shut down Ben Cousins, but he's won plenty of the ball himself. Simon Goodwin is just a class player. As I said, the importance of adding another dimension to his game, playing good football on the ball, but also going forward and registering a couple of goals.
We mentioned Ronnie Burns, kicked 2 goals during the course of the quarter. Do you like him coming up the ground? Talk in the Adelaide Advertiser during the week. He's not going to be stuck in a forward pocket this year. He's going to be come up. It does mean that he has to be a little bit more responsible defensively as well, as we see him getting second goal.
Yeah, he's got to change his game style, and I think that he'll work quite closely with Gary Ayres. There's a good relationship there, but you know, if you're not getting possession, you've got to go sometimes and change the way you play your football.
How do you see it unfolding for the second half?
Well, you know, it's a flip of a coin really. It can blow right out here, and West Coast can go down by a fairly big margin. But thinking John Worsfold, the way he played his football, would just ask one simple fact: go out there, give it all you've got, and just attack the ball ferociously, and don't let the opposition win easy possessions.
19 points, the difference at half-time. We haven't seen any 9-pointers here tonight. The new-look Wizard Cup competition with 5 new rules, but we saw some beauties last week, the best of the Niners from last week.
Heffernan on one knee, McDonald, Whelan, forward of the wing, about 70 metres from goal, kicks for space, and White.
That's a great kick. The last couple of minutes, the Demons are moving the ball better. They're starting to find the ball in the centre of the ground.
Okay, this is for 9. Wheatley. Well, he'll go down in the history book. Yes! Super goal.
So another great start for the Cats in the start of this second quarter. 6-4-40. Plays 2-2. 14. Johnson finds Gilby. Right on 50 and hammers it home. He's a great kick, isn't he, that young boy?
9-pointer.
It is a 9-pointer, so he's just inside 50.
Amazing. Clark palming with purpose. Goodwin, Tawney. Suddenly the Crows are going. Adams, who's been great. Here we go. Will this be a niner? Yes, it is. A niner. has kicked 2 normal goals and the first niner of the night.
Clement now kicks it out in front of Didak. Oh, beautiful anticipation from Didak. Just arched the backside. Got rid of his opponent in Wiggins. Didak has a bounce. He's 55 out. He goes for home.
Gathers. Comes inboard. Good kick. Great vision. Found Darcy. Darcy's got Johnson. Johnson can run to 55 and go for the 9-point play. He does exactly that. Loads it up. Right to the line. Looks all right. Another 9-point.
How do you get footy 48 hours a day? With Fox Footy Channel and now Fox Footy Extra, a footy channel devoted solely to SA footy. All the Crows and Port games, including the classics. And Fox Footy Extra will bring you all the best matches from the SA NFL archives, including the 1994 Grand Final between Port and the Eagles. Fox Footy Extra will also have a new weekly half-hour show dedicated to the Crows, and one for the Power. What do we need that for? Fox Footy Extra, the footy channel dedicated to South Australian fans.
Do you want to be part of Fox Footy Channel's live coverage of West Coast versus the Crows? Then here's your chance. Call 1300 65 65 25 after the game to join our expert commentary team. Talkback TV, only on your Fox Footy Channel.
This is heaven.
Experience Hollywood and beyond. You're gonna get it all on movie one.
Cool.
And when you wanna have even more, Movie Extra is the place to explore. Nice. What about the way that movies used to be?
Wow.
Movie Greats is gonna jog your memory.
You think we'll have a minute's peace?
You promise?
To be a big season of footy. You can feel it in the air. You can almost taste it.
All the hard work and preparation is about to pay off.
A brand new season, and Fox Footy Channel will be there from the opening bounce.
The most comprehensive lineup of primetime programs. Exclusive interviews with the game's headline makers.
I fully understand that I'm the public first.
Speak with the stars weeknights on White Wine Fever. There's no chance you could go to Carlton, could you, Nick?
If you want to know what's going on off the field, find out I'm living with footballers. Breaking news, you'll see it first on Fox Footy Channel.
Plus 16 exclusive club shows.
This is footy like you've never seen it before.
This is Fox Footy Channel.
12 months of AFL excitement, live games, 10 exclusive footy shows, plus pre-season action.
Now that's what I call value.
Call your service provider to upgrade today.
You know, it really is that good. Not that we're working for the Northern Territory Tourist Commission, but we've been up here for a couple of days now, and it is a great spot, albeit very humid up here in the top end, and they do love their footy. Mind you, the crowd not huge tonight, probably only about 7,000 or 8,000, but we're told the pubs and clubs are packed watching Fox Footy right now. I would encourage them if they aren't, Clinton. Yeah, indeed. Check the scores, 9-4, playing 6-3 here at half-time, so the Adelaide Crows in control. We mentioned earlier it's hot. Let's find out from the players' perspective what it means now. Tiffany Cherry downstairs with the Eagles club doctor.
Brian, no injuries to report from either rooms, which is good news, but the humidity is pretty tough to deal with.
it is. Happily, our fellows were pretty well alerted to the fact that that was going to be an issue. So we've, of course, had them hydrating well pre-match. They had a runner here last night and, of course, realised just what the conditions were like. I think it was even more humid last night. And we've naturally brought the ice vests up, and there's a nice cool room there, air-conditioned immediately behind the bench. So as they come off, they spend a few minutes there after they've done their minor warm down, and then we've got a fan actually on the bench, and of course the evaporation of perspiration is the best way of cooling the body, and so with that fan there, that's helping those as they come off and those who are waiting to go on.
I noticed that the Eagles actually used their ice block in the halftime break. You guys decided not to.
No, well, we've got air conditioning of a sort in the rooms there, plus fans, and whilst that was very useful to come off at quarter time and will be at three-quarter time, the air-conditioned box, rather than standing out in the humidity, to listen to the coach's words, where we found it cool enough in the big room and back in the main change area, and so we went back there as usual for half-time.
How much can a player lose? How much weight can they lose in these kind of conditions?
Well, they can lose enormous amounts if they're not keeping the fluids up. So as soon as they come off and it breaks, and you'll see the trainers, and plus some extra trainers we've been able to recruit up here, running water and making sure they do hydrate well. But any player that lost, say, 3 kilograms in weight would be getting reasonably heavily or seriously dehydrated, and anything over that would be quite a concern. So we'd certainly maintain or make an effort to maintain their fluid balance at least much better than that. We would hope they'd only lose 1 to 2 kilograms.
All right, Brian, thanks for joining us. Get back to your work. Cheers. Bye-bye.
That was the Crows Club Dr. Brian Sando downstairs with Tiffany Cherry. Still very, very humid here as we see the Crows out early. It was an extended halftime break because of the humidity. And of course, Matthew, that's playing havoc with our technical equipment. And we've got Wayne Carey, who's in Wagga. They've got the camera crew there, but the humidity playing havoc with us technically. So we'll hopefully speak with him after the match.
Yes, we'll try and arrange that for you and try and fix that humidity error, as you've called it, Clinton. But as part of their process, he can certainly. There he is. There's Wayne Carey. He's watching, and he doesn't look too humid there. Good evening, Wayne. How are you enjoying watching the footy?
Yeah, no, it's been good, fellas.
Oh, there you go. Unfortunately, Wayne can't hear us, so we'll keep working on that, Clinton. We'll keep working on the problem there. It is a long way away, Darwin, but just going back to Adelaide Crows back out on the ground very, very early. You mentioned that it is a longer half-time break here because of the heat and because of the humidity. The West Coast Eagles are miles away from returning to the ground. The Auskick games are still going on, and the umpires are miles away from returning. So as part of their process of going through this humidity, the Crows out on the ground very early doing an extensive warm-up.
Wayne, who do you see having to step up for the West Coast Eagles? As Mark Bickley with a couple of touches under his belt, he would have been happy his first game back since breaking that leg in Ireland in October in the International Rules Series. Who has to step up?
Well, I think that some of their players, their on-ball players, are their strength. Players such as Gardner, Kerr, Jarden Fletcher, Ben Cousins has tried well, but they're the core group of players that definitely need to step up and improve their performance.
All right, let's try again to chat with Wayne Carey, who's standing by in Wagga to take our call. I reckon we can hear him this time. G'day, Wayne, how are you?
Yeah, how are you, fellas?
How are you enjoying the match? What do you think to this stage?
Yeah, look, we got off to a little bit of a slow start, but no, the guys have fought back well and got a 3-goal lead going into half-time. So I'm pleased with that, and hopefully we can maintain that and come away with a good win.
Let's talk about where you're at physically at the moment. When can we expect you to be playing in an Adelaide Crows jumper?
Yeah, the doctors and physios are saying that I'd probably be right for next week, although that's what I'll be aiming for, but they're saying maybe the week after. So hopefully the boys can do the job tonight and next week, and you know, we've got a final in the Wizard Cup, but if not, you know, definitely after next week.
Wayne, good evening. It's Wayne. How are you?
Yeah, very well, Wayne.
Mate, you've had a year off now. Before your imposed 12-month layoff, you were going along very nicely. You've had that year off. How does the body feel? Where do you feel that you're at with your body at the present moment?
Yeah, look, the body feels great. The fitness is good, but unfortunately having the year off, I've been doing a fair bit of training during the year by myself, but it's not that stop-start football type training that I obviously missed last year. So, that's probably what's upset my preparation a little bit. I've had a little bit of tightness in my back, which has gone into my hamstrings a little bit. So once I get over it this time, hopefully it's gone for the rest of the year, and I can get up and play most of the games for the Adelaide Footy Club.
And what was the mindset like in this match, the practice match against Norwood, where we saw you in action a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah, I wasn't quite fit enough. That's probably my fault in that I'd played 2 games. I played a game prior to that and was a little bit sore, and then went into that game feeling a little bit sore. So yeah, that was my fault. I should have said that I needed the rest, and I would have played last week and be playing tonight. But as you do when you've had a year off footy, you're keen and you want to get out there and play as many games as you can. But yeah, I'll have to make sure that I get myself 100% right this time and make sure that I start the year off.
The fishbowl environment for you, Wayne, living in Adelaide, the focus of such huge media scrutiny, is that why you're escaping? Is that why you're in Wagga this weekend? Has it been hard for you, harder than expected?
No, not at all. Adelaide's been fantastic, actually. The people there have been great. They've really welcomed me to Adelaide and to the footy club. I'm in Wagga because my younger brother and his wife had a baby boy yesterday, so their second little boy come along, so I thought I'd come down here. An opportunity while the boys are away to get a weekend off before the season starts. It'll be my last opportunity for the rest of the year, so it's a good opportunity to catch up with the family, that's all.
Wayne, you talk to anyone or any Adelaide Crows supporter and they say that you're the answer for them in their premiership quest. Are you feeling that weight of expectation on your back? I mean, you talk to any Crows supporter, they say this is it and you're the man.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Look, I'm looking forward to having a good year with the Crows. Look, I think the expectations have always been there when I played at the Kangaroos as well, so it's no different for me really. And I think you perform better when you're under that sort of pressure as well. I mean, it is a good type of pressure to have. Look, I'm looking forward to getting out there and doing my best for the club. Hopefully I can kick a few goals and we can go one step further than what we did last year.
You mentioned the Kangaroos, Wayne. You played all your football under Dennis Pagan. How's Gary Ayres?
Sorry, mate, I missed the end of that.
How's Gary Ayres? How have you found the change to the first time to a new coach?
Yeah, look, it's good. Look, Dennis Pagan was a sensational coach and he taught me a hell of a lot about the game. But, Gary has different views, different ideas, as does his assistants under him. So it is good to get another perspective on the game. They say it is good to actually learn from a lot of different teachers. I definitely learn a hell of a lot of Dennis Pagan, that's for sure. And hopefully I can learn a lot of Gary Ayres because he's got the club to the finals last year and they're doing well.
Sorry, Wayne, we're about to start the second half here, so we'll let you go. I assume it's not humid in that lounge room in Wagga as it is here in Darwin.
No, definitely not, fellas. It's a bit cooler here.
Thanks for your time. We wish you all the very best and we look forward to seeing you out on the park for that round 1 match.
No worries. Thanks, fellas.
Wayne Carey joining us on Fox Footy Friday night, live and exclusive from Darwin. The Crows to play the Dockers at home in round 1 at Amy Stadium, and selling tickets right now, Matty. I reckon that's going to be 52,000 jammed in.
Expectations are high, aren't they, in Adelaide?
Thanks for that. Start of the second half, Crows heading to the left of screen, Eagles off to the right. The margin is 19 points. Friday night footy on Fox Footy, and this could be a 9-pointer to start. They might take 6. Gardner to Embley. What a start! You won't see better than that. Andrew Embley getting the all clear at last for his second goal. Well, John Worsfold couldn't have scripted it and made it look that good.
Yeah, Michael Gardner was one of those players that we highlighted that needed to step up. And to me, that first centre bounce, he came out with the intention of making a physical contact. A good attempt in the ruck, got the ball clear. Andrew Embley had a great game last week, ran onto the loose ball, had an opportunity for a 9-point goal, but took the safety of a 6-point goal.
What a wonderful start to the second half. Eagles get it back to 13 points. The bounce does favour Clark this time, though. Cousins. The give back to Munro. Liked his game so far. Gardner's gone forward. Got the call from Mr. Wilson. Hart out to Goodwin. Off the side of the boot. Coming through hard was Hum. Eagles 2-on-1 here. Good Shepherd. Allows Munro to clear, but the kick is ill-directed. Smart spins out of trouble cleverly. This is a good chance here for the Crows. Burton, one hand, thinks about playing on, decides against. Perhaps the handball might have been on. Now goes short. Inside his forward 50. Now the mark will be taken by Riley, who's come onto the ground. So young Brent Riley made his Wizard Cup debut last week, picked up 7 disposals. He's going to have a shot from right on the 50-metre line. He'll only be for 6 points. It's not bad from there. Good off the boot, right to the line. Perry too strong. It really was an uncontested mark almost on the line. Trent Carroll caught napping, and Perry has been outstanding for the Crows. He'll be lining up for his 4th goal.
It's really unforgivable from a defender's point of view. You've got to make sure you know where your direct opponent is. But really, Michael Gardner is sitting back at centre-half back, and as a ruckman, he should have pushed down on that line there. The ball was in a marking territory. He should have just emphatically thumped the ball through. Ian Perry, another easy goal. Very disappointing. As he's
got 4. And so the quick reply from the Adelaide Crows is proving a real handful for the West Coast defence is Ian Perry. Special comments by Wayne Schwass, as you'll see right throughout this season. And a terrific performance there. A bit of chat between the West Coast Eagles. But it's the Adelaide Crows. The margin back to 19 points.
These are the making of a new forward for the Crows for this season. There's Gardner, who's just been given a Wayne Schwass serve. Oh, it inspiring. We're sitting in an outdoor broadcasting booth here. He might have heard us. Gardner for Fletcher. Hurries one to centre half forward. Almost could have been claiming the mark from behind the Crows. Good spoil on Serakowski, who gets the free kick for some holding on. Now Fletcher should run onto this and play on, and he will. Good umpiring, Derek Humphrey-Smith, and good delivery by Fletcher. Braun unable to control it, giving it back to Fletcher. On the run from 45. Boy, we've seen some great goals tonight. English touched on the line. Late call by the goal umpire. Very late touch. Fletcher just couldn't quite get there. Crows bring it out quickly. The veterans after Smart.
46 plays 64. Smart has Tawney, who's run very hard to get to the wing. Off one step over the top of Tawney. Bode is his target. Colliker, very tough to beat one-on-one, especially in a marking contest. Very disciplined defender. Boundary throw in. Shirley right with Ben Cousins once again. It's Gardner who just shoves Clark in the back. Free kick to the Crows ruckman. Matthew Clark. Short pass. Well, I don't know if it was intended for Burns. I'm pretty sure it was intended for Perry on the lead. Burns has cut across on the diagonal, finds himself with the mark.
Yeah, and again, it's just another great example of when you're playing as a forward line play, you've got to make sure that invariably you play in front. Sometimes the kicks don't hit their designated targets. As I'm sure, Matthew, you just said, that was meant for Perry. Ronnie Burns in the right position at the right time.
Kicked 2 goals in that second quarter. He's looking for his 3rd. Distance shouldn't be a problem. Only 45 metres out. It's very good off the boot. Ronnie Burns is making his presence felt in the Adelaide Crows jumper. He's got 3 goals. And the Crow fans are taking a lot of delight out of seeing Ronnie Burns kicking goals for them rather than Geelong.
And I know we've only been going a few minutes, but that free kick from Michael Gardner was one that just suggested he's extremely tight, even though we've just begun the second half. So the humidity is taking a huge effect out of these players.
Margin, 4 straight regulation goals. 24 points. It's 11-4 versus 7-4, and Ronnie is enjoying being back in the top end. Philip Reid alongside now, as Gardner and Clark will contest once more. Clark got a good run at it, got it down to Shirley. Now this is Edwards. No support, goes himself. Well-weighted ball for Riley, attacking side of the wing. Crows building again. Riley for Burton. Towards half forward, and getting back, Colliker can't juggle it, has support. Jeremy Hum
Giving it off. Kick touched off the boot. Mark will not be paid. Riley sensing that. Smashes it away. Perry is caught. Gets it off. Dowdy just inside the line. Heavy contact off ball. Dowdy towards half forward. And Andrew McLeod gathers. Caught. And ping. Trent Carroll with the tackle. Didn't give up. Jumper stretched. Carroll never let go. And now they'll switch to the outer side for Embley. Has a man on. And it's Ben Cousins in space. The skipper to go to work. Eagles building towards Gardner. Leads Clark. Holds him off. Doubles back. Doesn't take the mark. Will have a bounce half forward for the Eagles.
And Michael Gardner just not having a good time. Did all the hard work. Got himself in the right position. And would be kicking himself he didn't take that mark. But there's some positive signs by some of their major players.
Clark wins this tap down to Bode. Lays it down nicely. Embley has Cousins in support. A free kick off the ball to Embley, but the advantage is paid to Cousins, who drives it inside towards Rowan Jones. Dowdy the spoil. Fletcher the crumb. Around towards Sampi, who goes back with courage. Takes a good mark. Hard arrived, but all too late. And Ashley Sampi, it's almost a gimme from 15 metres out directly in front.
And Ashley Sampi had been playing on Andrew McLeod, and Andrew McLeod is standing on his own up at the centre half forward position. So Ashley Sampi did the right thing, pushed forward. He was rewarded with a good goal.
Not a problem for him. His third goal in the Wizard Cup. In his third match, in just the 4 senior games. Exciting young prospect for the West Coast Eagles. Very, very clever player, but it was good work. They kept it alive. Fletcher in the right spot, front and square of the contest, and to the head of the square. All disciplined footy.
Yeah, and Chad Fletcher's really developed his game. He's normally known as a run-with player, a player that does the job by shutting down an opposition player. That's what's making him quite a good player now, and a player that does the job shutting someone down, but also gathers possessions.
Eagles hanging around. 18 points the difference. Travelling 8 minutes. In this third quarter, Gardner for Kerr, that's impressive. They get the clearance again. Beautiful ball for Embley out wide. Fletcher from the opposite direction will gather. Embley keeps on running. Fletcher goes a little longer to Wilson. Couldn't control it. Sampi to Embley. Goal square unguarded. Bounce important across the face. Trying to keep it in was Callum Chambers. Couldn't do so.
Much better from the West Coast Eagles players. They're definitely stamping their authority on the centre breaks, getting clean possession out and giving their forwards an opportunity.
Yes, Fletcher heavily involved at the moment. Judd soon to come back on the ground. The spoil came from Cousins on Matthew Bode. 17 points the margin here at Marara Stadium. Hope you're enjoying this coverage. Uninterrupted on Fox Footy. Came over the top. Kerr. That's a beautiful handball by Kerr. Rowan Jones wants to bend it around. Perhaps Wayne, I mean, it's very hard it's easy for us to say from up here, perhaps should have straightened up and kicked the drop punt. Probably had more time than he thought.
Yeah, I definitely think he had more time. I guess you put it down to the lack of talk from his teammates to tell him he was clear and steady.
Matner got put under the pump a little bit by the kick from Hart. Bode. Back to Matner. And that is a well-weighted kick to Riley. The young Crows wingman. Up towards Laddams. Doesn't have much help. He's got to beat Jones, who got back very hard. Good hard running from Jones because he was the man that took the shot on goal. Into the interchange. We see Judd come on. Cousins go off. So some talent there, swapped by John Worsfold. Gardner, Clark. Gardner over the top with a bit of reach. Burns trying to invent something there. Here's Judd. Shirley. Judd, not going to go far. Got to beat 2. Had to beat Doughty. There's a bit happening just off the play. Phil Reid and Ronnie Burns. It's a quiet chat as Ben Cousins heads into the air-conditioned room. A little bit of tempers getting a little bit frayed. Whistle. Why does that surprise me? Umpire taking control of the situation. Here's a little bit off the ball. Just to the left of your screen there. We see Burns and Reid in the background. Meantime, the ball has gone to Sirakoski. Long ball towards the head of the square. Sampi was way at the back. Also at the back was Jones. Oh, the handball was a terrible one. A chance for one step, though, was Selwood. Here is Embley. Can't get past Smart. Jones still working hard for the West Coast Eagles. They're desperate to keep it alive. It's still in the danger zone with the danger man in Chris Judd. Good stuff by the West Coast Eagles. They kept at it, they persisted, and they got the reward.
Yeah, look, they've come out a totally different side. There's more intensity, they're attacking the player. Defensively, they're putting a lot more pressure on the Adelaide Crows, which they weren't used to in the first half. And that's just a great example of putting forward line pressure on the opposition, keeping the ball alive, and you could say fortuitously, but you're in the right place at the right time. Chris Judd, great goal.
The man you targeted at half-time is having to lift. Mark Beckley back on for the Crows. Being challenged here, the Eagles with the last couple. And we've got a 10-point game. Gardner to try and get first hand to it again. Judd, seemingly inspired, caught up by Bode. And we'll have a second bounce in the centre. Crowd getting involved. Range staying away. Michael Doughty taking in some deep breaths. Crowded centre square for this second bounce. Riley impressing this quarter, bounces one over the head of charging Perry. Carroll coming out, geared himself for the contact with Goodwin, enabling Green to take it. Going out wide, Embley seeing plenty of it this term from the outer wing, long ball inside 50, and Wilson caught a long way behind Ben Hart. Crows will switch, they have 3-on-1. Burton can give it off, does so. Well, a shade risky perhaps. Brought down as Smith. Brought down as Burton illegally. Boy, the heat's on here, Wayne.
Yeah, terrific play by Ashley Sampi. Admittedly, the free kick probably was there, but that's a great example of never being out of the contest.
Burton shorts it for Matthew Smith, 19-year-old on the Crows list the last couple of years. Hasn't broken through for a senior match. Up towards half forward. Colliker goes too wide out on the full. 10 points the margin. Nearly 14 minutes have elapsed in this third term. An entertaining opening quarter-final of the 2003 Wizard Cup. Burton pops it up to half forward. Eagles with numbers. Hum leading Laddams. Running out of room. Round his body. Hoping for Chambers. In the right place was Kerr. Ducks out of the tackle. Chris Judd takes them on. Now Carroll. Crows defenders slowing them down. Eagles maintaining possession. Reid, good ball. Gardner has Fletcher in support. Will he give it to him? No. The big man goes long. Wilson one out with Hart. Important ball. At the back, Jones. Can he get to it? Keeping it in for Wilson, no. And it's over for a boundary throw in. Eagles deep in attack.
And Chad Fletcher just pleading with Michael Gardner. They had the overlap. He was in space. Michael Gardner thought it was a better option to kick it along in the forward 50, give Troy Wilson the opportunity. But Chad Fletcher was in space.
Gardner involved again from the boundary throw-in. Who's at the back of the pack? Tawney couldn't get it. Wilson does. Handball out intended for Judd. Chopped off by Hart. And will find the safety of the boundary line if it can roll and tumble and bubble over beneath the scoreboard, which shows the Crows lead 11-4 to 9-6. Great to see the old-fashioned scoreboard.
Oh, isn't it wonderful here at Marara Stadium?
It gives a couple of young kids something to do on a Friday night in Darwin.
10 points. And the West Coast getting the lift from their midfield. Fletcher has been heavily involved. McLeod breaking free. Low ball towards the 50. Going back and taking a good mark. Reading it the best, though, was Trent Carroll, who's lifted after that error on the goal line. Eagles making a surge here. They want to make it to the semi-finals of this year's Wizard Cup. That's as far as they've ever been in a Wizard Cup competition. Or any pre-season competition. Call it what you like. This is Smith. Round the body. Does enough to keep it in. Cox the spoil. Bigland's appealing for a free kick. Not to be. Once again, a ball in on the centre wing. West Coast have made a few more errors than Adelaide, but their endeavour has improved. It's got them back in this game. John Cox stepping out of the tackle and taking off. Great confidence shown by John Cox. Good kick again, reading it best. It's an action replay for Trent Carroll. Perry found himself out of the contest again.
Yeah, much better positional play from Trent Carroll, not allowing himself being pushed easily out of the contest.
This is Andrew Embley. Started on the forward line. He was in midfield last week. Finds himself in defence at the moment. Colliker has Glass. Great running by Glass. He's just broken free. He's 30 metres on his own in the clear. He's got plenty of time. On the centre wing now. Glass, low ball, too low for Sampi. Got to beat a couple. Did well, got it over the top. Just not enough though for Selwood. Edwards might give it up here. He does. Holding the ball, chance for the Eagles. Again, the pressure by the forwards inside their forward 50, the harassment, the tackle. They've given themselves another opportunity, Wayne.
Yeah, you're never out of the contest. You've just always got to maintain the fact that if you're within range, you've got to put that forward line pressure on. You can't afford to allow a skilled side like Adelaide easy possession, therefore allowing them to run further up the ground and setting up their forwards. That's terrific work by Callum Chambers.
And Ashley Sampi's proving a real handful up there. Very exciting. And changed the complexity of the forward line. Chambers from 45 metres. They need it. Hits the post.
So that's worth 2, right?
I don't know. There was a rush behind before and they refused to call it, so I'm confused. But the West Coast aren't. They're down by 9.
And that is the difference. 1 9-point goal. And can Biglands keep it in? No, he can't. Boundary throw-in on the outer wing. Full credit to the Eagles, Wayne.
Yeah, they've come out. They've definitely. The noticeable thing is just their intensity, the way they're putting pressure. They're attacking the football, they're attacking the opposition, and there's no surprise that they've got themselves back into the match.
Just ticked into time on. 17:40 on the clock of this third term. Judd, quick hands, stripped away by Goodwin. Hurried ball inside 50. They've got some open territory, and will that be a free kick for the first or second occurrence? Maybe not. Perry to Smart. Was that for 9? Right on the 50 to the goal square. Hum wrestling. That was clever. Soccer out of mid-air. A volley. Now the Eagles, will they concede a behind? No, they don't. Oh, what a wonderful smother by Burns. Desperation there on the attempted clearing Lynch kick. Ronnie is enjoying being back in Darwin playing footy.
That'll please his coach. That's just another great example of forward pressure, and you'd like to think that'll be in the highlights tape for Ronnie next week.
29 years of age, no less. Boundary throw in. Adelaide deep in attack. Biglands for the line for Beckley. Colliker harassing him. Boundary throw in. Entertaining quarter-final here. There's the cool room being used. NRL officials watching might try and think, well, that should be the sin bin. Get them in at rugby league venues. Cox and Biglands. Important ball to be won here. Late in the third term, and it's the Eagles running. Kerr to a one-on-one, a foot race. Johncock a metre behind Haynes. Haynes goes to ground. Johncock kept his footing, hailed the cab. Haynes had to trap it in, had no support. Adelaide free advantage play on McLeod. Great kick. No, just wide of Goodwin. Perry to run onto it as well. Soccer attempt by Green. Gained some metres and some seconds for the Eagles. Perry for Riley. Another advantage play on call. Riley's kick inside 50. Will this be a curve free? No. Edwards out of a pack. Round the body. What a wonderful goal. Tyson Edwards wrests back control for Adelaide, and their leader's 15 points. He's got his second.
Yeah, it was a terrific goal by Tyson Edwards, but I think that was set up by some smart play from Ronnie Burns. First that smother, but then a very, very intelligent bit of play. Tapped it out to Perry's advantage, therefore able to set the ball up, put it in the danger zone. Tyson Edwards, good goal, good reply from the Crows.
Yes, a timely goal there for Edwards, his second for the evening. Ben Cousins back directing traffic. Here's Smart with him at the moment. Gardner wins the knock. McLeod's there for the Crows. Kerr, tough, underneath. Daniel Kerr, terrific young player. Well, Cousins is on, so you'd expect that Robert Shirley's not far behind. Here's Judd. Another good smother. Crows a chance once again. Riley let it go for Goodwin. His handball ineffective. Gardner just did enough to spill it out the Judd. Here's the genius, if you like. He's half a genius and he's half a magician. He keeps it alive. Gardner, from a standing start, he already got 1 9-pointer last week. Has he got another one? Yes, he has. Let it shine, the 9. Gardner, his second for the Wizard Cup.
Oh, beautiful, Matthew Campbell. But I know I've been a little bit critical on Michael Gardner during this quarter, but you can accept the player making mistakes. Fantastic pressure again put on by one of the young West Coast Eagles player. Hunter it was. Michael Gardner kicked one last week and has registered the first for tonight.
Well, that was impressive. Hearts in mouth stuff for Eagle fans watching this. Who was going to get it? And then off 2 steps, no less. Carried it by a good 5 or 6 metres. And this crowd are involved. Here at the top end, Bickley sat on his backside on the field and now off it. And Gardner's pumped. Has it stripped away. Shirley for Riley. High ball. Try and mark this, he says. And a free kick going the way of the Crows. Indiscriminate push on Ben Rutt. Late in the term now, 22.5 minutes.
Michael Gardner doing the Rutt work and then Dean Cox takes over.
Rutten going wide for Perry. The siren will beat them. That is 3/4 time. It's game on here in the top end. Oh boy, stay with us. The Eagles with a 4-goal to 3/4, including a 9er from Michael Gardner. And with 20 minutes remaining, it's Adelaide by a goal here on Fox Footy.
How do you get footy 48 hours a day? With Fox Footy Channel and now Fox Footy Extra, a footy channel devoted solely to SA footy. All the Crows and Port games, including the classics. And Fox Footy Extra will bring you all the best matches from the SANFL archives, including the 1994 Grand Final between Port and the Eagles. Fox Footy Extra will also have a new weekly half-hour show dedicated to the Crows, and one for the Power. What do we need that for? Fox Footy Extra, the footy channel dedicated to South Australian fans.
North Force is what's called a regional force surveillance unit. What it does is basically defence of the top end. It's a huge area. It's almost 2 million square kilometres. I love driving, so yeah, get out there in somebody else's vehicle and just go for it. Working in an office, wearing a tie, that sort of thing, you just wouldn't have the opportunity or the chance to do the things that we do every day as part of our normal job.
Now's the time to buy from Harvey Norman and receive 15 months interest-free. You pay no deposit, no interest and no repayments till 2004. What an incredible deal. You get 15 months interest-free. Available in furniture, bedding, electrical, computers and much more. This is an offer not to be missed. No repayments till 2004 for a limited time only. No deposit, 15 months interest-free and no repayments till 2004. Minimum purchase $500. Conditions apply. See store for details.
Okay, umpires. This year in the Wizard Home Loans Cup, there's big changes to the rules.
Yes, but do we still get to run backwards?
A goal from outside 50 is now 9 points.
Do I still get to pause for dramatic effect?
Yeah. Now, brace yourselves, your new uniform.
Whoa.
The Wizard Home Loans Cup with new rules for a bigger game.
I think we'll be taking some numbers in these, boys.
When I decided to be a mechanic in the Army, I mean, one of the big things for me was that I got my qualification. So even if I leave the Army later on, I'm still a recognised mechanic in Civvy Street.
Saturday night, Brisbane Lions versus Geelong live from Cairns. It's a rumble in the jungle as both cats sharpen their claws and head far north. Will Geelong survive the safari and hold back the feverish Lions? It's powerful stuff. Saturday night, live on Fox Footy.
second wettest month on record, as you said earlier, Matthew, and those Crocs, they can jump billabongs, which concern people. They're not where they're meant to be. Quarter to play. Let's talk footy. Look at this. Crows by 6 points. That term adding 3 goals. The Eagles with 4, including the niner from Michael Gardner, leading the way. Ian Perry with 4 goals for the Crows. 3 to Ronnie Burns. They're behind closed doors. They're in that cool room. Temperature in there, 10 degrees. Special here at Marara Stadium, part of the redevelopment to keep the players cool in there. Mark Bickley, the ice vest, getting some sustenance as well. A taxing one here. It was taxing for them last week. Crows by a point in the showdown against the Power. And in the Derby, it was West Coast by 17 points over Fremantle. So both of these clubs, a lot taken out of them last week, Matthew, and boy, it's hot here.
Yeah, we saw the West Coast Eagles last week against Fremantle, both clubs actually. Towards the end of the game, a lot of players cramping up. They've given it all. It was early in the season. You don't normally expect to play a game with that intensity. And Wayne, Adelaide also coming off a 6-day break. So it may just be a case of who handles the conditions better.
We are live across Australia here on Fox Footy Channel, and one of the great shows to watch in 2002 and to look out for in 2003 is on the couch.
A season of surprises.
I think footy's more exciting than it's ever been.
That's what footy's about. Whether you're coaching or not, I probably still believe I owe Richmond something.
Controversy.
The MCC, I can assure you, have told me that Melbourne is expendable.
I think we've got 2 teams too many.
I was prepared not to coach.
Would you clarify those statements?
I never wanted to become, a football mercenary. Sometimes we're very good and sometimes we are vulnerable.
It's how you play the game.
These days, it's 20 points is nothing, and any side can run over the top of you.
You're a pretty determined group in here.
What do? Do you say no to coming on a show like this?
It's just lovely to be here with the 3 best scribes in the game.
And the answers that you were looking for.
As a coach, the only thing you hang your hat on is what you believe to be the way to play footy. Sometimes you go through these rocky roads in your career.
I've got to the stage now where I reckon you just shouldn't let it lie.
We will not win the wooden spoon.
It's an extravagant statement.
It is.
Must-see TV. Jared, Mike, Robert on the couch returns live Monday night, March 24. Quarter to play. Crows by 6 points. Here's their assistant coach, Peter Curran, with Tiff Cherry.
Peter, you must be very wrapped with the Ronnie Burns, or question marks over him, but he's played a great game tonight in front of his home crowd.
Oh, look, it's been good that he's been able to find his way into the game, and hopefully he's got another quarter left in him.
The intensity's been huge from both teams. How do you maintain it now in the last quarter?
Oh, well, they just got to dig deep. I mean, they've got to do what they practiced all summer, and hopefully that'll stand them in good stead, but it is certainly pretty sapping.
Mark Bickley came off just in the final moments of that third quarter. Is he okay?
Yeah, fine. It's just part of the rotations.
All right, thanks, Peter. Cheers.
Peter Curran with Tiff Cherry. Wayne Schwass, who's going to win?
Well, toss of a coin really, Clinton, because you'd think based on the experience that Adelaide have, their experienced campaigners will get them over the line, but you can't deny youth. I know they had a very sapping game last week, the Eagles, but they recover quicker, I believe, young players. And look, I'd like to think that the Eagles will get home.
That coin's getting a fair workout, isn't it?
Yeah. Red or the blue?
Up here, game of 2 up going on.
You cleaned up on, what was it, Caribbean poker last night?
Never cleaned up on anything.
6 points, the lead for the Crows, lying in wait. The winner of tomorrow night's match between the Kangaroos and Melbourne. Tomorrow night, also Geelong and Brisbane from Cairns. Live and exclusive on Fox Footy. Collingwood and Hawthorn, the other match. And, well, we are in Darwin and some unscheduled, perhaps, three-quarter time entertainment.
Well, he's got both hands up. He obviously wants a 9-point goal.
Is that it?
Yeah.
And the Crows serious about winning the match. Goodwin has been playing mostly in the forward line that third quarter on the ball, along with Bickley and Robert Shirley.
Friday night footy on Fox Footy. Stay with us after the match. We'll take your calls. But first, one engrossing final turn. Gardner gets his hand to it. Cousins gets the clearance. And not quite. Landing in the arms of the Eagles. There's still a chance, though. Adelaide back defensively. Tawny's handball. Stolen by Staker. High ball to the goal square. Downey getting back there. Taking the relieving mark. Brent Staker's first kick for the Eagles. Just about netting a goal. McGregor now. Going very wide. Adelaide with numbers. Riley. Good poise from the young 19-year-old there. Long kick forward. Through the hands of Smith it went. Still Adelaide a chance. High ball from Clark. 2 on 2. McLeod ready to get the crumbs perhaps. Well, chance for Green. Thought he was going to give it off. Did it himself. And why not? Was impressive in the process. And now West Coast can look to build. Here's Staker again. Left foot delivery to the pocket. Not quite reaching McDougall. Carter's back there to relieve the pressure.
So the acting captain has 2 players out wide. Here's a real chance for Adelaide. Riley over the top. They move it back. Riley gets it back in the old 1-2. Goes through the middle. Up towards the forward 50 now. McLeod caught. Haynes with it. And he has a bit of time. That's a terrible kick though. Adelaide, Gallagher couldn't take possession. Trying to get through there was Perry. And there was a wall of Eagles and he couldn't get through. Tiffany Cherry on the boundary.
The temperatures certainly haven't kept the crowd away. Just under 9,500, so they're loving it down here.
Clark, Judd, steals it. Out in front of Staker. Impressive youngster from Broken Hill. Saw him play in the under-18 competition this year for the New South Wales ACT Rams.
Laddam's off, Edwards on.
Clark and Gardner. Gardner will come from behind, over the top down to Kerr, as if on cue. Cousins steps around Goodwin, having an effect now. It's been pretty quiet though. Shirley's done a good job. And whistle's gone, holding on the free kick. It's going to Adelaide. Cox isn't happy. McGregor takes the free kick. Immediately the Crows are away.
I don't know how the umpire saw that because he did have him on the blind side.
Crows with some room here. Goodwin towards Perry's kicked 4 already. Got a timely nudge in the back. McLeod eludes 1. 55 out. Deft touch. Just beautiful. And Riley, who's been impressive in this second half.
He's been very impressive.
45 to 48 metres out will be the kick for Brent Riley. He was their top pick in the national draft a couple of years ago. Played in round 15 against the Saints last year. Just 1 game for the season, and he goes short here. And it's a nice pass for Gallagher, but the angle is acute. Similar sort of location where Laddams with the left foot went for the banana last week to win it against the power.
Yeah, lax defending or checking there from the West Coast Eagles players. They must have been of the opinion that the Adelaide Crows player, Riley, was going to go back and have a shot at goal. Long shot that would have been 2. Just allowed their concentration to slip a little bit. James Gallagher popped up, presented himself.
I mentioned round 15 against the Saints last year. Gallagher got the 3 Brownlow votes in that game. What's his kick like here? Splits the middle. He's excited. So are the Crows. They double their lead early in this final turn.
Had a stint with Sydney there over a couple of years ago. It looks as though he's established himself at the Adelaide Crows. Fine, skilled young player, very exciting, a good prospect.
Yeah, just the 14 games in 2 years. He's had some injury problems. Let's hope for an injury-free season for James Gallagher. Certainly finished off nicely there. Clinical kick straight through the middle. Crows by 12 points. Last quarter here at Marara Stadium. Matthew Bode, a little bit proppy. Gardner heard the call out the back from Judd. Cousins came in to lend a hand. Green cementing his place in this Eagles defence. Embley, Munro was there, but also the reliable Jason Tawney, the former Tiger.
A reasonably quiet night. Jason Tawney played okay last week.
Adelaide have been inside 50. 8 more times than the Eagles. 13 minutes remaining. It's Cox and Clark. Backpedaling Clark. Now, an infringement or a ball up. We'll have the ball up. Plenty of players around the ball as Edwards peels off. He may end up with it. There he is there, left of screen. Not to be. Cousins forced over by Riley.
Ashley Samby obviously comes with pretty high raps. He's been given the job on Andrew McLeod. Now he's picking up the mercurial Ronnie Burns. So rated very highly, I think.
Every player on the outer side of the ground at the moment. Taking the mark for the Eagles the middle of the ground. Haynes. Over the top of Kerr's head and Bickley. So just a bit of a lull in this quarter at the moment, or in the game, if you like. The Eagles certainly made it very exciting as we see Fletcher dump off Mark Bickley.
Must have a target on his back tonight, Mark. He's been down a couple of times. Down by a couple of goals, the Eagles, as Judd is tied up by the aforementioned Bickley. So the ball to be tossed in the air again. An arm wrestle. One more for the Crows. Might establish a match-winning advantage. Ball towards midfield. Burns and Sampi. 3 bites of the cherry for Ronnie. Not paid. Johncock couldn't control it. Embley to try and break the pack. Burns has got him. Big tackle. McLeod away. Look at him go. Towards half forward for Perry. And that's perfect. Now goal square is unguarded if he wants to go now. He senses that. Loads it up. Goes deep. Johncock waiting back. And Adelaide might get that goal to drive an 18-point buffer between the two.
I think Ian Perry might have taken a shine for 9 there.
You don't think that was a pass to Johncock at the top of the goal
sure
square?
He'd like to tell you it was, but no, off the side of the boot.
So Graham Johncock now, every game in his debut year last year, all 25 of them for the Crows as they advanced deep into September before losing to the Magpies by 28 points in the preliminary final. Kicked 14 goals and apparently has just been flying over summer. And an important kick here, nearly 8 minutes into the final turn. 45-degree angle, 35 metres out. Goal Adelaide. Johncock gets his first Crows by 3 goals. Here's another look, Wayne. You can see whether you're going to be a little more benevolent to Mr. Perry.
I've no doubt about that. There's a real bush football kick there.
Probably, if he was going for 9, probably about a 4.5.
Well, I think you're being very generous, man.
But from the Crows' point of view, doesn't matter how you get them. Graham Johncock was certainly happy to take it. You see the bench there for the Crows. They're using 7. The West Coast using 8.
Double security guards, there's enough of them down there.
18 points the margin. Clark, Gardner got there first. Knew it was a low bounce coming. Holding free. McLeod was away. It's going to be a West Coast kick. To Daniel Kerr. Adelaide gets some numbers back in their defensive 50. Not enough. Beautiful kick from Kerr. Spilt by Hunter. Should have taken it. Perhaps Cousins can make amends. And the captain hooks it from behind. 17 points the margin as Ben Hart quickly away. Smith. Gallagher. Up towards the centre wing. Should suit the Eagles. Sampi first to the ball. Keeps it in. He can go over the top of the handball. Probably should have. That is a very dangerous kick. Kerr under the pump. Got to beat a couple. Green arrives to give him a hand. Bickley spins out of trouble. Gives it off to Perry. Ashley Sampi will be hoping someone can lay a tackle. And that man is Michael Braun. And he saves the day. So, luckily for the West Coast Eagles, Perry just hesitating for just that moment to allow Braun to lay an effective tackle.
Yes, it was lying in the arms of Perry. And Braun was just saying, stay there. I've got you. Judd, up to the wing. Good one. Staker. Eagles not out of it. Centering ball for Gardner. Went forward by enough to be paid the mark. Loose man out of side. Embley. Colica to run with him. Embley to go himself. Very wide towards half forward. McDougall backing into the pack with courage. Couldn't get the all-important footy. Now he does. Cousins. Still a chance, Eagles. Embley caught. Handball gains 10 metres. Wilson charging out. Chance. Chambers. Tough angle. Hits the goal umpire at the post, and it's a behind. Crows wasting no time, bringing it back in for Smith. Can't even pause to write the score down in the footy record. Smith to the wing. Sampi waiting for it. Great shepherding by Colica, enabling Sampi to get it. 16 points the margin. We've gone 11 minutes in this final term. Sampi for Hunter. Goes wide. Staker. Too far out to score. Judd calling for it short and wide. He'll ignore that. Goes short towards the 50. Risky ball. Crows have numbers and they can run now. Dowdy to midfield.
Yeah, low percentage kick from Staker, but West Coast Colica got back for them. He's got some time. Glass almost to Shepherd. Up through the middle. A little bit indirect in the last 4 or 5 minutes. Hum out in front of Cousins, who's up forward now. Shirley right with him again. Here's Fletcher. Back to Cousins. Short pass out in front. And the mark taken by Lynch.
Good kick, this kid, but the angle
tough
makes
kick
it
from there.
Very tough.
Wayne, they've just gone wide a little bit, haven't they? They've had some players running through the corridor, and they've not elected to use them.
Yeah, I think that might be a result of the fact that they're just trying to get the ball down there to a leading target. If you've got numbers and you outnumber the opposition, you're best to hold the ball up, draw an opponent, feed it off, and create a nice attacking forward thrust. 16
points down. Tough kick from the 50-metre line, up against the boundary, got the distance, not the accuracy. The percentage play was always going to be a point. 15 points. They're edging closer.
Again, wasting no time, the Crows. Gallagher for Edwards. Running it by hand. Riley. Gallagher still running. Boy, that would have sapped some energy.
And that's what we were just talking about, the difference between what the Adelaide Crows just did then and what West Coast as a team have been doing the last couple of minutes.
Gallagher towards Stevens at the back. A hover from Glass. Judd switches on. Gardner the target. Now, this is promising. Gardner down the corridor. Cousins coming out through several hands. Jones being harassed. Handball on McDougall. Here's a chance. Should be a goal, you'd think. Kerr paddles, gathers, kicks to the square. Chance. Staker couldn't get there. Agony for Eagle fans. Daniel can't believe it. 4 behinds in a row for West Coast. It's 14 points the difference. And we've gone 13 minutes final term.
You just get the feeling they're going to get one shortly, though. Need to be quick. Yes, Adelaide could turn it around quickly, though, here. So many times we see the side make them pay at the other end. Centre wing. Over the top, Tawney. No mark. Play on. He's tackled. Wrapped up by Munro. Ball up. 88-74. Wizard Home Loans Cup quarter-final.
And it's been a good game.
It's been a very entertaining game. These two sides, as we see the Adelaide Crows forward line, just the 4 players inside the forward 50. Here's one of them as he leaves it. Stevens. Gallagher out in front of McLeod. Has Burton over the top. Wants to draw the player. Lays it beautifully. Well-weighted ball. Touch of class by Andrew McLeod. So Brett Burton, and we saw four behinds in a row, was it, Clinton, for the West Coast Eagles? Now Adelaide a real good opportunity to stretch it out to 20 points, to relieve some pressure, and to take a little bit of wind out of the sails of the West Coast Eagles. Burton hasn't kicked a goal this evening. Now he has. Gary Ayres with a little bit more fluid. Certainly a fluid forward line there with McLeod involved. And 20-point margin.
The Crows have just got themselves a nice little buffer. What I have noticed in the last couple of centre square, not so much the centre square bounces, but around the ground ball ups and stoppages, Adelaide Crow players would like the fact that it's very congested. As a West Coast player, what you've got to do is be smart as to where you position. They should be trying to isolate, create space, because when it's congested, it plays in the Crows' hands. They've got numbers there. They know that they've got support, and there's a better chance of getting the ball out. West Coast need to spread their opponents, create space, hopefully create opportunities.
3 scoring shots to 4 this quarter. Adelaide 3 goals. Eagles 4 behind. John Cock away. This could go all the way. It might bounce through. Glass getting back there. Saves the day. Won't concede a behind. It would be worth 3 points. Kick out very wide and did well just to get to the contest. Selwood, and he earns a free kick. Well done. A reminder, as you saw on the bottom of your screen a moment ago, announced today, Fox Footy Extra. No extra charge, but an extra football channel for you, debuting March 23, tailored to your home state. Glass, Judd taking it off the pass from Selwood towards the wing. Goals from Marks, 11-3. Significant discrepancy there as Lynch. Going to have to go direct here, West Coast, because we've gone 16.5 minutes in the final term. 2-on-2. From behind, the fist provided by Staker. John Cox played well. Boundary line, his friend here. And we'll have a boundary throw in. A reminder, you can join us on our talkback line after the game. 1300 65 65 25 to take your calls. Coast to coast. Live and exclusive. Friday night footy. Boundary throw in. Wrestle. Cox from behind. Bigland's in front. And Reid might see it over the line for a boundary throw in. 20 points, the difference. West Coast led it by 6 at quarter time. Adelaide turned things around, led by 19 at the half. 6 with a quarter remaining. And now you'd fancy just about home. Not quite.
Not quite, but they're still in possession of the ball. Bickley to Smart. Running hard, doing a good job as Gallagher. He may get 50 here. Wayne Schloss wants 50, and he's going to get it. And that could be a Clinton. He's done some good things tonight, Gallagher. And he's finishing the game off nicely. He's already kicked a goal in this quarter. And he's going to make it a 26-point margin.
Well, it's going to be a give-me, but really it's undisciplined play. Glass there, realised that he was going to take the mark. All he had to do was hold him up, make sure that it was going to be a difficult kick. Well, they had to spot up a teammate. This is the lay-down was there, Gallagher.
So Gallagher kicks the goal, kicks his second, Crows out to 26 points, and to make it very tough for the Eagles from here. There's the push by Glass.
No dispute about that.
None at all.
So Gallagher impressing late in this quarter-final. 9 touches, couple of goals, good return. 4 goals versus 4 behinds in this final term as we nudge our way a minute into time on. So 3 or 4 minutes to go. That will be about all. Eagles have to catch up 26 points. Biglands and Cox. Cox for Cousins. That'll bounce just inside the 50. Lynch, tunnel ball style for Reid. Smart's got him. And we'll have a bounce on the 50 for the Eagles. I don't think John Worsfold will go home unhappy.
I think he'd be reasonably happy, certainly in the second half. Like I was talking before, this is an example where it's very congested in the forward 50 for the West Coast Eagles. They need to spread out, have a couple of players starting defensive, running forward.
Cousins for Chambers. Can he find an opening? Back for Cousins. Does he want 9? He's just inside. Number 9 unloads. Long ball. That's a free, surely. No. Might be a goal anyway. It will be. We'll wait for the all clear. There it is. Staker has kicked it. After elements of confusion reigned in the Eagles' goal square. They've got their first for the term. They're back within 20 points. We've reached the 20-minute mark of the final term. Now, gentlemen, is that a free kick, or am I seeing things late on this humid night in the top end?
It was there. It was there, but it doesn't matter. They've got the goal.
He's done enough to suggest that he could have a long road ahead of him, young Staker.
Brent Staker. There is Darren Jarman doing his work for the Adelaide Crows with Brett Burton, one of their runners. Here's a chance now for the Crows. Holding the ball too long, Edwards. Jones tries to get it to Fletcher. Here come the Eagles once again. Got to get past Smart. Had some time. Over to Rowan Jones. Good presence of mind. The kick out in front. Oh, going back 20. He is crunched. Mr. Wilson arrived late and crunched. Tawney's up and away though. Hart switches laterally. It's paid a mark. No, play on the call. Gallagher. McLeod now. He's off and running. Long kick. Wants Stevens. Right with him, Glass. Cutting in front was Biglands. 3 Eagles players there. The ball spills out towards Selwood. His handball to Cousins, who's working hard in this last quarter. Fletcher, back to Cousins. Handball is sloppy. Lynch. Still going the Eagles. Reed off one step. Round the corner, it's a terrific kick. He spotted Embley. Oh, great tackle by McLeod. Saves the day. Smart clears with a spiral kick up towards Burton. Over the back it falls for him. Biglands comes in to lend a hand. Off the ground he goes. Adelaide. A chance to go forward through Bickley. Burton. Hard running. He's a wonderful athlete. He runs all the way inside forward 50. That takes the mark. A little bit of forward. Tight angle that he's goal not long ago. Terrific aerobic running by Burton. Inside to Riley. Smart play, Adelaide.
Set up by Mark Bickley. Actually realised that Brett Biglands was there in support. Pointed very directly to Brett Biglands to provide the shepherd. Allowed Mark Bickley to gather the ball up nice and cleanly. Spot up Brett Burton, who in turn has spotted up another teammate.
Well, we've seen some impressive young players. No more impressive, I think, than Brent Riley. Siren sounds. Adelaide will go through to the semi-final. The margin at the moment is 20 points. Riley looking to make it 26 after the siren. He does so. It's a good kick off the boot and an effective win to Adelaide. They go through in what has been another entertaining game in this Wizard Cup. And Adelaide, a real show of going all the way in this pre-season competition. Troy Wilson, wasn't a big night for him. He always makes his presence felt. Tawney, bang.
That's just terrific courage.
Fantastic, isn't
Tawney, isn't it?
Smiles all round then. 26-point win for the Adelaide Crows. Eagles threatening, coming back within 6 late in the third quarter. Some advice for Troy that shouldn't go in that hard late in the game. You can hurt people. But Troy saying, well, you know, we have to go in hard. The coach was watching and all that sort of stuff. What a great night for Andrew McLeod and Ronnie Burns coming back, playing in Darwin. Andrew so much looking forward to coming back. He played with the Darwin Buffaloes before heading to South Australia, playing with Port in the SANFL. And, well, if they ran the election right now here in the top end, there's no question he would be number 1. Let's go down to the other star of the show. He enjoyed it. Ronnie Burns with 10.
Ronnie, a great homecoming for you.
Yeah, that was good. Good to come home and see the family and friends and that, and hometown, and it was all good. And also, it makes it good when you win.
Well, and also your form was fantastic. Your own game.
Yeah, no, it's good to hit a bit of form, and you know, coming in the season, so it's been for the league, but no, it's good. Good for the boys to have a win and go on to next week now.
How are you finding yourself fitting into the new team?
Yeah, it's a new structure, new players, and yes, look, I've just got to get used to their structure, and I'll be right, I think.
All right, well, you're getting mobbed. I better let you go, mate. Right up.
Well, we said he was popular. Here's some of the action from Ronnie Burns. Kicked 3 goals this evening. An important game for him. Just the 6 possessions, 4 kicks. 3 of those resulting in goals.
And some quality things away from the possessions, though, that Wayne Schwartz pointed out. Some good knock-ons, some good taps, an excellent smother, as we saw there. That is just copybook stuff. So it was an intelligent game, even though the disposals only being 6 would say hasn't had a big night. Smart play.
Yeah, I think that would be the most pleasing aspect from Gary Ayres' point of view. The fact that Ronnie Burns is a mercurial player, can do the unbelievable thing. The fact that he's making the effort to do the disciplined, team-orientated things, the 1% things that we call smothers, chases, tackles and so forth, is something that probably consistently Ronnie hasn't done. But he looks as though he's worked on that part of the game. If he employs that a lot, he'll be a much better football player.
From the point of view of Adelaide, still many good players to come back into their side. Mark Rashudo, of course, Wayne Carey, Bassett, Welsh, Massey, Nelson, Marsh. I mean, they've got some players on the other side of the coin. That coin we've been talking about all evening. West Coast have got virtually half their side to come back in. So a good performance by some of the young players tonight.
Yeah, definitely. Look, it's a contrasting situation with both sides because the Adelaide Crows have a very well-established, mature list, whereas the West Coast Eagles have a very young list. The exciting thing for the West Coast Eagles, from my point of view, they've got many, many years as a playing group together. They'll develop. They've got a very exciting midfield group. They can work on developing some of the other younger players, key position players. They're going to be a quality side over the next, 5 or 6 years.
The Adelaide Crows advance to play the winner of the match between the Kangaroos and Melbourne. On the other half of the draw, Geelong and Brisbane. Tomorrow night, live on Fox Footy. And Collingwood and Hawthorn will play the winner of the Geelong-Brisbane game. Andrew missed the song.
He has missed the song, and he's signing a plethora of autographs. As you can see, he's trying to get off the ground, but such is the nature of Andrew McLeod. He wants to sign as many as he can.
And now the security guard's coming out to try and make a path for him to get through the throng so that he can go and join his teammates in the locker room here at Marara Stadium. Pats on the back all round. Well, he's getting some physical attention now, isn't he? The pats on the back, but he'll have all smiles. Andrew McLeod had a terrific night. 17 possessions, 14 kicks, 3 hand passes, 7 entries inside the 50. On the other side of the coin, long trip home for the West Coast Eagles now. But as we said, you mentioned those 11 players to come back in as McLeod makes his way off. Banfield, Chick, Wooden, Morrison, McIntosh, Adkins, Jakovic, Gasper, the Matera brothers, Wirapunda. There's some big names for the Eagles to come back in.
Yes, there certainly is. I mean, we're talking about the majority of their side. They did miss a crumbing forward like Philip Matera. He's such a good player around the goal mouth, as we know, Wayne. But I thought the way they rotated their forward line around, in particular, Rowan Jones was good. Cousins played up there as well. So some promising signs, as we mentioned.
Yeah, they did. Phil Matera kicked 3 goals last week. Troy Wilson kicked 2. So like you said, Matty, there wasn't a dominant forward there, but there were enough signs from some of the younger players, as we mentioned, that wouldn't normally get the opportunity. They've done enough to suggest that they'll be good players in the future.
Let's go back downstairs to Tiff.
Ian, a great game, 4 goals for you. This is your 6th season now. You're really trying to consolidate a spot.
Yeah, I'm trying to get in the side now, and it's going to be tough this year with Steve-O and Wayne and that up there kicking goals, but I'm just going to try and fit in with those guys.
Would you be happy if they switch you down back? You wouldn't really care where you played?
Well, Easy likes to play me down back a bit, and he thinks I'm pretty versatile, so hopefully I can, just fit into wherever his plans.
How do the conditions suit you guys?
Out there today, I think it was tough for everyone today. I think it favoured West Coast because it's pretty hot down in Perth, but we handled it pretty well. A lot of preparation, a lot of fluids early, and we got through it.
All right, well, good work. Yeah, you guys got another game, so well done. Thanks, Ian.
Thanks.
It was terrific. Tiffany, thank you. 4 goals for Ian Perry. Fans enjoying it here, getting a kick on the ground. If you'd like to stay involved with Fox Footy on this Friday night, live across Australia, you can join us. Give us a call. Say good day. 1300 65 65 25. That is our number. We're standing by to take your calls on air for another half hour or so. The Adelaide Crows advance to the semi-finals. A 26-point win over the Eagles. More coming up in our post-game show. Stay with us. Here on
How do you get footy 48 hours a day?